Good afternoon. Welcome back to The Siege, or good morning, good evening, and welcome back. Hi. A little bit of a different plan we have today. As you might remember, I said we are actually playing Age of Empires 4. Well, Lemons, as Lemons does, jumped out of our whole, not that I ever really fully asked him, but he jumped out of our arrangement, me beating his ass in the game, and I was like, all right. I might check it out tomorrow when I find some time. So there might be actually another stream we would do. But what I want today is the Final Fantasy XIV Producer Live Letter. That thing happened yesterday at 3 a.m. in the morning and was running for 7 hours. Holy shit. To make it very clear, we will not sit here for 7 hours. Don't you worry about that. We would jump through the important parts. Keep also in mind that, of course, they are doing live translation, so this is why it always takes so long. It's like they are first having like the whole Japanese going through, and then they are doing the English translations, and they have some discussions and whatnot. We would jump through that. Like as I said before, we would not sit here for a whole 7 hours watching that. And we will mostly focus on the class changes. I haven't seen it, because as I said, it's like 3 a.m. in the morning when it started for me. And I was like, you know what? Nah, we can do that for the YouTubes. And that is exactly what we are doing today. We will have a look at the class changes, class abilities, and we will just see how it goes, to be honest. Because apparently there's a lot. My Twitter was full of Final Fantasy XIV talk. I woefully ignored all of it, and I was like, nah, let's not look at this. Let's look away. And now we will have a live look. Apparently the next letter of the producer will be held in November. Yeah. And it will happen a few days before Endwalker is coming out. I assume they are talking about the rest of the changes, which should be kind of curious. But you know what? This will probably take a while. So I would say we are jumping right into it. Yep, let's jump right into it. And let's have a look at the stuff which they have to showcase. Let's have the intro at least. Let's not be rude, and let's have the intro at least. Let's see what they have to say, and then we are jumping through the pages. Again, I'm not sitting here for the next 6 hours, like watching everything. Yeah. I haven't planned a 6-hour stream only on the letter from the producer. That is not something which is gonna happen. So yeah, sit tight. Oh, when do they start? Here we go. Oh, that's the intro? Oh my god, that looks so good. I still don't know what that spaceship is. Sword? It looks like a sword, but also a spaceship, and I'm so confused about that. That looks so good. That looks so good, man. Can't wait. We will probably do something interesting for the release.
皆さんおはようございます。
おはようございます。
Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
第66回 Final Fantasy XIV Producer Letter Live のお時間です。Thank you very much for tuning in and welcome to the Final Fantasy XIV Letter from the Producer Live number 66. 皆さんにご挨拶お願いします。
Thank you for watching. My name is Naoki Yoshida, producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV. 皆さんおはようございます。
Hey, Yoshi P.
Final Fantasy XIV プロデューサー兼ディレクターの吉田です。よろしくお願いします。
はい、そして今日はゲストにあゆみさんがいらっしゃいます。あゆみさんお願いします。
Hi. Hello, my name is Aimi. I'll be helping with translation support for today's broadcast. 今回の通訳サポートを務めさせていただきます。徳竹あゆみです。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
And lastly, my name is Toshio Morochi, also known as Fox Clone, your global community producer here. 信号を務めますコミュニティチームモルコ
I
こと
have to admit,
よろしくお願いいたします。
I love this dude to death.
はい。
はい。
よろしくお願いします。
But sometimes I have some moments where I have problems following him with his accent. By the way, says somebody with an accent.
ってのも悪いんだけど、オープニング画面をね、いかに
So
うまく見せるかっていう。
I have my moments where I'm like, what did he
ギリギ
say?
リはね、測ったんですいませんでした。はい。
But doesn't matter because I love him
we
to bits.
started just a little bit late to this time. Of course, Yoshida had to step out to smoke a cigarette, but that's beside the point.
I really wonder how many cigarettes Yoshi P has devoured over the course of like every Final Fantasy XIV expansion.
ケンケンガクガクやっております。
Like
無事出てきてよかった。いや、グッドでしょ。
his consumption of cigarettes must
かっこよか
be
ったです。
high.
結構調整実は大変で、まあ巨大な
Alright, let's see if we can actually jump through here a little bit.
And I
Like as I said,
天井に対する基本
I don't really want to sit here for
思うとおります。
7 hours.
so of course,
Okay, so
we
general
are going to be
changes.
discussing about the different job up.
第一章ではありますけど、結構あるので、その辺の
Okay, plans to build
方針
upon
は今日お伝えしてい
5.0
こうかなと
adjustments. That makes sense. That's what they always do.
And of course, with the basic thought being building upon Shadowbringers 5.0, of course, there are new elements that are added.
This looks
leading
so
up to
pretty.
Endwalker
I want that
and
as a
different
background.
Elements that we have changed.
Oh my
made
god,
these
where can I
small
get that as a
updates.
background?
So we would like to go over some of the concepts or the directions that we've taken.
I really
for these
need that.
different updates.
で、こう一部ね、ちょっと複雑にしてほしいなって
はいはいはい
3.x シリーズみたいなのっておっしゃる方もね、最近ちらほら見る。
Make it
ぜひ
Let's see what we got here. Recast time of primary abilities will be adjusted to align with 60 or 100 second timers.
Align everything that's exactly 60 seconds or 120 seconds. So please understand that not all of the abilities might match up
Interesting.
perfectly or exactly.
おい、くまモン、
Huh.
なってねえじゃねえかよっていうね。
I wonder what the thought behind that is. Like the 90-second mark was always like a, yeah, okay. Maybe it was like in between certain phases.
Like the ley lines. Oh no, it's not 60 seconds. No, that one still remains to be 90 seconds.
Okay.
Apologies.
悲しみですよ。
I mean, there have been moments, especially in raids, where you were sometimes
Sad.
a few seconds too short
Neglected
or a
me.
few
I'm
seconds
not
too
aligned to
long
your
on certain
timings.
cooldowns,
プロ
and
デューサーのメイン
it
上
was really annoying.
主力が
And then new phases started, and yeah, I think this is better for the alignment in certain encounters.
It's kind of unfortunate. The main job
Makes
of
sense.
the producer of the game missed out on having this time of his ability. His
Quick
main-
note before we continue this. I am really curious what they are doing with the jobs here. I think that most of the jobs are in a pretty good position. There are a few jobs I am not really a fan of right now. One of my biggest complaint personally, and this is why I stopped playing him, is wow. That's what happens when I'm stopping playing a class. I completely forget the name of it. Astrologist. You know who I mean. The Astro guy. I always forget the name. I switched to Mechanist with this expansion because they cut a lot of corners of that other job. And I felt like that job became a little bit more boring. Like the rotation became a bit boring, a bit stale. And most importantly, I felt more like all the other healers and not something which focuses more on your cards and like specific AoE healing and whatnot. So Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with Shadowbringers and the Astro. So we will see what they are doing with that. What else? I always hear monks complaining. It seems like they still haven't really found like the niche they want to put the monks in. So I'm curious to see what they are doing with that. Summoner is, like, interestingly enough, I heard some people who really loved the Summoner in Shadowbringers, and I heard some people who just said, yeah, I'm out. Like, that's not the Summoner I want to play anymore. Like, this feels meh. So I'm kind of curious if they're doing anything with that. But besides that, I don't really know if like any of the other classes need like a deep look. We will see.
One of the main abilities kind of aligned to that kind of cycle. There will be abilities that
Okay,
change.
Seems like we are taking a look now
accordance
at
to those
the
updates. So if you could
job
keep that in mind,
abilities.
and there's something that I want to watch. I want you to watch as you think about that.
Okay.
So are you ready? 皆さん大丈夫ですか？
では約20分ありますので、
はい。
私もコメントはしません。ぜひですね、ゆっくりご覧いただければと思っています。あゆみさん、ここまでまず一回トランスレーションお願いします。
Right. So we will be looking at a 20-minute footage.
Wow, 20
None of
minutes.
us here will be making any comments. So if you could take your time to watch the footage, and then he has more to say.
さあ、それでは、6.0 エンドウォーカーのジョブアクショントレーラーとなっております。
This is the 6.0 job action trailer.
どうぞ。
Let's do this. 20 minutes. Well, I will definitely say something about it and pause. So prepare. Ooh. I love that little class intro thingy. Alright, we're starting with the Paladin, which is the star of the show. Okay. Was that the 3? No, we are starting with the Dragoon. Interesting. Okay. Alright, still doing the jumping, still throwing out the dragons. Nothing new here. Alright. You know what problem I sometimes have with the Dragoon? Their armor looks always the same to me. Okay. Reminds me a bit of like some of the samurai moves. By the way, some jobs I have no clue what's going on because I'm not playing that job at all. So please forgive me. Ooh. Well, that's new. Damn. Okay, look cool. Oh, the warrior. Yeah, I'm not somebody who is playing every job and has leveled every job in Final Fantasy. I don't have the interest for that. I'm somebody who is focusing on 1 or 2 classes at max. I know there are people who have like leveled every job. That ain't me. Oh, right. They definitely make him more and more like a berserker, even though he already was that before. Okay, there's the rage. Okay, that was new. I've not seen them doing that before. Ah, the red mage. Okay, wait, what is that? Like the 3 stars? Underneath the white and black magic? Oh. Okay. Huh. Damn. That was cool. Oh, the scholar. Oh, is that an AoE shield now? That's interesting. Huh. Butterflies! Okay. Ha! And the Dark Knight. I still believe that the Dark Knight is one of the most played tanks. I have that Dark Knight far too often in my group. Oh, I wonder if that changes with Endwalker and everyone is playing a Paladin. Okay, so far so normal. All this salted earth and AoE attacks. Okay, there's the shadow. Ooh, now we are using the new attacks. Cool. Dancer. Whoa, that's a picture. I never... This is a class I have absolutely no clue about. I know that the class is doing a lot of buffs. And everyone loves a dancer in the group. But... I am woefully ignorant to that class and what it can do exactly. Ooh. Birdie. It's new. I wonder if they're giving the, looks like it at least, it's if they're giving the dancer more DPS. Like right now the problem with dancers is that, well, not a problem really. They're doing less damage, but they are boosting the rest so much more. Hey, Gory. Okay. The Machinist. Shotgun is new. I can tell you that. Yeah, that's definitely new. Let's see what they got here. Yeah, the shotgun was definitely new. Huh. That's also new. Hi, Queen. Let's see what you can do. I'm still waiting for an orbital laser or something like that. Okay. Didn't look too different. Oh, the Gunbreaker. A little bit weird that they're jumping between tanks, healer, and DPS. Maybe to keep it interesting. This is another, I have to admit, another tank class I am woefully ignorant about. I know when to heal a Gunbreaker if I'm playing healer, so it's not like... It does its job. But how you play a Gunbreaker? No clue. Nah, the Bard. Probably more buffs, I assume. I have to say, at least when I played in Shadowbringers, I didn't see a lot of bards in my groups. Interestingly enough. Oh, damn. Cool. More arrows. Ah, the astrologian. Astrologian? I just call them Astro. Okay, so the card thing is still the same. Seems like they haven't really changed that. Okay. Man, the star took a while. That's new. Ready. Huh. I don't see any heart or shield when he's healing. So I wonder what they did with the 2 stances. People still play bards? Samurai? I don't think they would change Samurai a lot. I always had the feeling that the Samurai is in a pretty good position DPS-wise. Ooh, twice. So far, no real new attacks. Oh, you can do it now twice. Interesting. That's new. That's also new. Okay, that's the new super attack, I assume. Yeah, they will not change much with the Samurai. The Samurai is doing what it does. Like, don't really see a problem with it. Oh, there we go. Wait, there's a Blood Lily now. There are the 3 Crystal Lilies, and there's also a Blood Lily now? Oh, it's like a DPS thing. What is that? Oh, a healing well. what was it in World of Warcraft? Well of Light? I haven't... Look, I admit I have not played the White Mage and Shadowbringers. I have no clue. But the well is definitely new. Okay, this is a class where I unfortunately have to admit I do not have the brain cells for. I just don't. It's too much for me. I tried it a little bit, and I was like, okay, now I have to do this, now I have to combo this. What was the combo for this one? This was amazing though. Damn. Alright, giving him a little bit of range. Neat. As somebody who has worked on the Black Mage in Stormblood, I think the Black Mage will not change much. They have found a sweet spot for the Black Mage. And it just works. Like, ooh, Fire and Ice is new. That's interesting. Okay, Fire and Lightning. So we can now combine certain abilities. Okay, fast swap to Ice. Interesting. More nukes. Just more nukes. More fire nukes. Okay. Hasn't changed that much. Oh wow, you can now... How often can you do that now? 3 times? Alrighty. Yeah, more DPS. Makes sense. Ooh, I'm interested in the Sage. I'm actually thinking about... oh my god, that looks amazing with the water. I'm actually thinking about starting a Sage right at the beginning of the expansion. And yes, I know, I will be behind. But that's good, because most people don't want to watch Final Fantasy XIV when you were streaming it when the new expansion is coming out. So I'm actually thinking about playing just the Sage. And then be behind all the people in the story. That looks amazing, can I just say that? Oh my god, I don't know what he's doing there. Seems also like a lot of DPS. Huh. Oh, the Sage could be amazing. Hey, Alf. Oh, Monk. Yeah, people... Like what I've heard from the Monk community, they were not very happy with Shadowbringers. I think they had a pretty big rework in 5.1 or something like that. I cannot tell you what I'm looking at here. Again, not a Monk player. How are you doing, Elf? Ah, the summoner. I'm curious what they're doing here. Like, as I said, the summoner community was torn a little bit with Shadowbringers. Okay, there's your Bahamut. That is still there. Okay. So far, that's new. Hello, Garuda. Oh, so you are switching now between Titan, Garuda, and Ifrit? And depending on what you were switching to... Maybe your spells are changing? That would be tricky. Hey, Sekran. Ha! So that was Garuda. Now he's switching to Titan? Yeah. Damn. Okay. And then he's now using, like, earth attacks? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, changing your elements of magic. Depending on, like, which elemental you have summoned. Well, let's call them elementals, because they are not really the real primals. Right? And that's the fire. I wonder if Phoenix still exists. Like, normally your summoning was Bahamut. And then Phoenix... melee summoner? What's going on here? Oh, there's the Phoenix. Okay. They're putting a lot of, like, range classes into melee combat this expansion, it seems. That's fascinating. Maybe want to let them in on the action. Oh, the Reaper. Let's see what we get here. Okay, buffing. Oh, you can teleport back? Yeah, it seems like you can teleport forward and then you could technically teleport back. If you wanted to. That's cool. Okay, it seems like you have like an ability where you can work together with your other teammates. And then you can teleport, yeah. That looks cool, man. Reminds me of the Reaper class in Guild Wars 1. Damn. Ah, the star of the show. Hello, Paladin. Let's see what you got. Okay. Sure. So far, so normal. Big sword. Many swords. Ultra swords. Oh shit. That is a long combo now. Damn, that was good. That was good. All right. Quick note at my chat. Alf, yes, I'm not really back at YouTube. I'm here on a Saturday and maybe on a Sunday, but I'm not promising anything. So over the weekend, I'm popping up on YouTube for all the people who can't make it to my normal streams on Trovo. And yeah, I'm just here for Saturday doing whatever I want. And it's also not like I'm streaming here for hours and hours. It's really just like, I know that some people didn't come over with me when I moved to Trovo, and that's fine. But yeah, I also want to have like something live streaming here on YouTube. So you can catch me on the Saturdays here. And also with that, I have a weekend stream, which also helps with some people. So yeah. But no, I didn't move back to YouTube. Not even close. Not even close. And hey, Sakura. So I have to admit, let me have a look at the Sage very quickly here. Or well, let me have a look at the first. Where's the mac and cheeses? There's the mac and cheeses. Okay, getting a shotgun. Cool. I have to admit, it seems like they didn't add much. It seems like they added some functions to the Queen, which is the robot. But I mean, the Mechanist is already in a really good position. Like, especially Shadowbringers was one of the strongest DPS out there. So and then again, the Mechanist got a big rework with Shadowbringers, and it seems like they nailed that. So don't really see a problem with that. Yeah, the Astrologist. I have to admit, I will probably not come back to the Astrologist. I was thinking about it, but I don't think so. Nah. Not a fan of the changes so far. And then let me have a look at the. Wait, where's the Sage? Okay, not gonna lie, it's kind of hard to remember where the Sage was. Where was the Sage? It was after the Samurai, wasn't it? White Mage? No, was it after the White Mage? I think it was after Ninja, wasn't it? No, that's the Black Mage. God damn it! I mean, they didn't have really to change anything at the Black Mage. The Black Mage is in a good position, it does a lot of DPS. And that's exactly what it should do. So they gave the Black Mage even more DPS, because one nuke is not enough. You need 3 nukes, and then you need an Ultra Nuke to really finish the whole nuking. So, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm completely fine with that. Yeah, there's the Sage. There's the Sage. I love this little thing. This looks so good. I really love the animation so far. It seems like you're working with a lot of shields. And I'm always for shield healer. It also seems like you're doing a good amount of DPS. I'm kinda curious what all this is. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. Especially like the ether flow or something you have to control. That could be really interesting. Having a healer who is a little bit more complicated to do. Like I said, normally that was the Astro who was the complicated healer, but then they changed it. Yeah, look good. Alright, let's see what they have to say about to attain changes. Oh, using defense enhancements at optimal times will grant greater benefits. Interesting.
Okay, so we're not talking about something very exact like a guard just at the right timing or like a parry. That's quite difficult for something that's a client-based MMORPG online. So it's more along the lines of some additional benefit for a short amount of time after utilizing certain abilities. So
makes sense.
Before you might be thinking, oh, okay, enemy is casting. I'll just go ahead and activate this ability when it's casting, and of course you'll still get the benefit of, say, it's like a 10% damage mitigation, but there is a bit of a waste, and so by combining it with optimal ability use, optimal times, you can
makes sense.
reap even further.
Let's be honest here, most people are just throwing in their defensive enhancements and then forget about it. So
next item
nothing
was,
really here.
And this kind of applies to melee
adjustments will ensure combos are not broken by range
whenever
attacks.
you are activating a weapon skill combo and you insert like a tomahawk for your warrior or something like that, like a ranged attack, that would kind of break your combo chain.
Yes.
But we've adjusted it so that that chain is not broken.
Huh. Okay, a bit more DPS for the tanks. That's good.
今までのローテーションのこう1サイクルよりショートタイムタームになると思うんですよね。まあ全体がの時間がこうなんだろう回転数が上がるってのがいいのかだろうし、むしろ
attack. So I think this will kind of give the tank sort of strategy a little bit of range.
As a non-tank player, whatever. Wait, there was one big changes. There will be parity between the physical and magical damage attributes of weapons at the same item level, and the accompanying changes to action potencies.
DPS,
okay.
As well as ranged physical DPS will be affected by these numbers.
I don't know if that is good or bad.
I'm calling me Yoshinyan.
48歳のおじさんにそれはないだろう。
I'm 48 years old. Please don't call me a cat.
あ、そうか。声だけだとね、機嫌悪いのってなるんで確かに。まあ大丈夫ですかね。
Alright.
ジョークなんで。はい。
I love the joking.
Those are the main.
Paladin will now be equally effective regardless of remaining MP. A 3-attack combo starting with Confidor will be added. That's good. Well, makes it a bit easier though for the Paladin players. Like,
with Paladin, it's just a straight evolution, kind of keeping in the trend with Shadowbringers going into Endwalker. So it's not a drastic difference per se, but of course we don't want y'all to be brain dead as you're doing your rotation. So there are some aspects.
What?
Some strategy requires
Paladins brain dead? No. What a slander.
が、5メートルの20メートルになってるので、まあその辺の使い勝手の向上もさせてもらってます。
As somebody who has been playing Paladin recently, there's a lot of moments where I'm like, okay, interesting. What else can I do in the meantime?
Next up is the warrior.
まず一つ目。
Damage up effects cannot be triggered by extended by AoE combos. Oh, that's big. That's really big.
なんか相互単体から範囲から単体みたいなところが割とスムーズになってます。
Yeah, that's really big for warriors.
And then, so with this one, the first point, damage up effects can now be triggered and extended by AoE combos. So I'm sure as you're playing warrior, at one point you'd always have to insert Storm's Eye.
Also, that
into
Final
it,
Fantasy VIII
in
music
order
in the
to kind of
background.
sustain. But we have made it so that it can be triggered and extended even if you're doing your AoE combos.
That's good.
So, I think it's
I think that's something warriors has always suffered a little bit.
If you want to do like a single target rotation into like an AoE rotation and back and forth.
Okay.
先ほど動画でももうすでにお気づきの方がいると思うんですけど、2つ目、
Onslaught and Upheaval will no longer drain the Beast
がなくなっ
Gouge.
てます。
Oh!
And then the
Wow.
second point, and you may have noticed this from the job action.
I'm not a
trailer,
warrior
but,
player myself,
Onslaught and Upheaval
but
will
I have a
no
friend
longer drain
who's
the
a
Beast
religious warrior player. And believe me, he tells me.
まあ現象の改
It's
善
like, this is some big stuff.
できる新しいアクションが
A new action will be available upon execution of inner release.
And then there is a new
interesting.
action that will be available.
So even though I've never played the class, I know about the woes of the warrior thanks to a buddy of mine.
60秒になってます
And this seems to be all like pretty good changes for the warrior.
回数は3回になってます。でまあ頻度は、上がるんでだるさは減るだろうなと思います。
And note with the inner release, the recast time for that will be adjusted to 60 seconds. So
Oh.
You will have the effects for 3 times. And so I
Damn.
think that will kind of allow for like the frequency to be more often. So it kind of
Yeah, before that it
relieves
was
sort of
90 seconds.
dragging or lagging feeling.
あとはですね、オンスロート、さっきね、ビーストゲージ消費なくなったって言いましたけど、
Damn.
オンスロートのチャー
That's
ジ
some
が
straight buffs for the warrior.
でかつ新アクションがあれ結構遠距離から
Like
向ける
through the bank.
実は機動力かなり高いで
Buffs,
す。
buffs, buffs.
And then we mentioned about how Onslaught will.
Which I think is
not
fine. I think the
drain
warrior
beast
has
gauge.
been
We are also adjusting that to
not
have a
disappearing,
total charge of 3.
but I think I saw
And then
less
with
warriors
the
in
new
my
action
group.
that stems from it,
But then again,
it does allow
Right
for,
now is
a lot of
a weird
mobility.
time and everyone plays
あ
like
とは
their
現象の
sixth
竹にも
job.
パワーアップさせてあるので
and levels up their
SP
sixth
精度も
job.
上がってます。
So
And then the oh sorry, Gensho no Take.
まず一つ目、
Dark Knight, Sword Elf will now affect the area immediately around you, making new action available.
自分の足元に設置
Neat.
して、さらにその、設置中に発生するアクションっていうのは
That's good.
追加してます。
I mean, it's
So with
is it a
Dark
big
Knight,
deal
Salted Earth will now
that
affect
Salted
the
Earth
area immediately
didn't do
around
that
you and make a
immediately.
new action available.
I never
You
really
already
thought
had
like there was a
placed
big
your
deal
Salted
for the
Earth,
Dark
but now
Knights.
it's going to appear
But that's good.
where you are standing.
That's
And
good.
from there stems a new action.
Don't really complain about that. And you're getting a new action, whatever that might be.
もはや
That's good.
なんなんだっていう感じだったので、もう変えました。はい。
So even Yoshida had to like set up a macro so that we can place the salted earth, and so it seemed a little pointless. So we have made adjustment there.
I mean, it was like I know that some Dark Knights were annoyed by it. Sorted Earth is such an important ability, but also an ability where people are sometimes getting a little bit annoyed by it. So making it a bit easier, I think, is good. Yeah, Simulacrum will also gain a new action when you acquire one of the
Your
new job
Living Shadow is
abilities.
going to learn
Okay.
new actions as well.
Cool.
まあ暗黒は今綺麗に結構ローテ回せて
One plus for the shadow.
極端に
Like the shadow felt
変わるってところ
like a
はない
nice
んですけど
idea.
ただブラッド・デリリアムのリキャストが、こちらも60秒
But I think was
になって
missing a few things.
3回までの効果になってます、なのでやっぱりこっ
Like,
ちも回
of
転
course,
数が
looks
上がります
amazing when you can put out your own shadow.
And so I think with
But
the Dark Knight, the rotations are
it looked
pretty
cool.
clean, straightforward.
Didn't do too
But
much.
one of the other changes that are being applied is Delirium recast time will be adjusted to 60 seconds.
Oh,
and
another
that will
buff.
be also affected up to
Again,
3
I think that the
times.
Dark Knight
So
was
again,
always in a
I
good
think
position
frequency will go up again.
when it comes to tanks.
あとはプランチカット
Like I would definitely say that the Dark Knight was one of the best tanks you could have in a group.
であとは
Or,
新技
well,
でブラ
not
ッ
the
クナイ
best
ト
tank,
とは
but
別に単体ターゲットの防御バフも追加されてます。
one of the easier
And
ones.
so with Plunge, again, that is also going to extend its range, another 5 yom. So I think that's it for
Okay,
the,
Gunbreaker.
Dark Knight. So moving on to.
I have again no clue what we are talking about here. Like the Gunbreaker is a completely foreign job
so
for me.
Kind of explain it further. Basically, you
Totally
like
is.
we mentioned, it's going to be a one-button sort of combo that's triggered when you start off with Gnashing
No swapping for Gnashing
and
Fang
then in
on
that
the
same
hotbar.
slot, you'll have
Oh, so you don't.
And then once you've triggered that.
Okay, can I say something here? This is one of the things I kind of love. I know people hate me for this, but I love the idea of when you are running your combos that you basically just have to hit one button and then some abilities switching to the second button. So normally you have to hit 1, 2, 3 on your hotbar, and in case of that you just have to hit 1, 1, 1 because it switches through. And some classes have that, and I know this is especially true in PvP where every class is having that, and I love that so much. Like that's one of the things I'm loving so much. And I know that some people are like, oh, this makes the whole thing easier. I was like, does it really? Like, instead of just going on my hotbar and clicking 1, 2, 3, I'm clicking 1, 1, 1. Like, it's really just that my hotbar is overflowing with abilities depending on which class you are playing. Like, the amount of hotbars I have for certain jobs is just... it becomes a bit much. So if you can do something about that, then I'm not really against it. Like, it's not like they're removing those abilities. They just make them easier to use.
You move on to Wicked Talon. So I think it'll definitely save space on your hotbar.
Yeah, I would love to see that for more classes.
その間に挟む追撃アクションはね、これまで通りコンティニュエーションからの
Like, it doesn't make it harder. The moment you know that you have to do the combo 1, 2, 3.
For any sort of actions that are
it's not that tough.
Between, it will continue to be continue to be continued. Use.
さあ、次。
Continuation will be able to be used following burst starts. Okay.
コンティニュエーションで追撃可能になってます。
The trade will raise the maximum number of cartridges to 3. Cool. Still don't know what that means. Again, completely foreign to me. Alright, let's talk about the melee DPS. Faint's effect will be changed to reduce physical damage dealt and will also reduce magical damage dealt. Oh.
So we are going to adjust that.
まあでも実際
Okay.
メレの人って
Protecting yourself a little bit from like certain attacks when as a melee DPS you're getting hit by an AoE or something like that. I think that's good. Like, Final Fantasy was always a game where people just had to take care of themselves. Like, it's not like World of Warcraft where the healer is taking all the weight. It's like, oh, character is standing in the fire. Well, I better heal that character. Oh, okay, character got attacked by an AoE sweep. Like, I better heal that character, right? Like, the healer had to do all the work in World of Warcraft. And in Final Fantasy XIV, you have to look after yourself, because a lot of the time the healer has completely other things to do than just healing your sorry DPS ass. Like, it is what it is. And so giving the melee DPS, especially the melee DPS, more abilities to look after themselves, I think it's a good idea. And make them a little bit more sturdy so that the healer doesn't have to save them all the time. I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
今回、あまりにもなので、牽制の中に魔法ダメージ減少っていう効果も少しつけました。 ただ当然効果量、魔法加減軽減の効果量はアドル、キャスターが持って
I want some high
大きくはなるんですけど、無駄っていうことは
high resolution full arts on those things.
So I mean, to be fair, with some of these bosses, you know, sometimes the auto attack that follows after the sort of tank buster or the large damage hurts a lot, and it's immediately after the tank has already used up their defense.
And they have to take care of the tank right now.
Sometimes it does come in really handy to place Feint right after one of those really large attacks. So we will.
Adjustments will ensure combos are not broken by ranged attacks. Oh, that's interesting. Not a big change, but for people who really want to
And then second point,
keep like that combo going and want to ensure that they're always like hitting the highest DPS possible in the fight. And believe me, there are a lot of people here. Good.
そしてもう一個も先ほどご説明しました、武器の物理基本性能の値と
Okay, they're doing the same thing as they did with the tanks.
全体的に
Interesting.
上がった分、威力という数字に関してはその上がった分だけ落としているのでナーフしているわけではなくて、計算式が変わったので、今までとは違いますよというのをご承知おきください。
And then third point is also, as we mentioned during the tank roll section, but again, with the adjustment of the fundamental damage attack calculation for physical attacks, we did have to adjust the potency so that it appears that the potency number might seem smaller, but it is still.
Yeah, they're doing a number squish. That's what this means. Like for everyone who's like, hey, I still don't understand what they mean with this. Number squish. They're doing a number squish in this expansion because we are slowly getting to the point where you have like 500,000 health and do like 500,000 DPS numbers, and it became a little bit too much. So they are doing a number squish.
Okay, so we are moving on to the different jobs.
And the Dragoon. I have no clue how to play this class. I really don't. But
is the Dragoon.
I see the Dragoon all the time in my groups, interestingly enough. The AoE rotation would be standard. Alright.
So with the Dragoon, I think these also have a fairly clean and straightforward sort of rotation that you can utilize.
Yeah.
But we've kind of expanded upon
Yeah, they have.
rotation.
A new action will be available upon successful execution of the weapon skill combo rotation. Oh, so like a finisher.
So
I
with
like
this one,
Dragoon,
of course,
delicious.
there are new
Not
actions
what they
that we
said,
added with the
but
new
thanks.
level tab. And then with some of the existing actions, and of course throughout the
Or
years,
the
we've
raccoons.
kind of
Wait, what?
upgraded some of these.
So you're now
existing
getting a
actions to
finisher
become, like,
after
a
you
higher
did your
version
combo.
of certain
I think that's
actions,
kind of
and
cool.
we've just
That's something
kinda
what the
swapped them
samurai
in
basically
place
always
of
had, right?
the base.
Like you do your rotation
skill.
and then you have the
So
big
it's
finisher
not
by
like
the
we're
end.
going to be adding like additional like button presses or like additional slots you'd have to fill.
I don't know if I played Samurai this expansion. Samurai, Sage, or I'm continuing my Mechanist. I'm not sure yet.
Blood of the Dragon will now become a trait, and so
Oh.
there will no longer be a need to execute it as an action or to maintain it.
Interesting.
で発動条件下、それが発動条件だった技はすべて通常時に使用可能ということで調整されております。
So for any actions that required for the Blood of the Dragon to be activated, will be available at all times because Blood of the Dragon will be a trait.
であとはですね、
That's
ス
big.
パインダイブが2チャージになっているので、まあちょっとね移動に使いづらかったと思うんですけど、まあ移動用に1チャージ残しておけるように、あと溢れなければねロスすることはないので、1チャージ残しておけるようになってます。
And And then Spine Shatter Dive is going to be changed to 2 charges. And some of you might have experienced like, oh, I wish I could have used Spine Shatter to kind of move over. But now you'll have that one extra charge.
More movability.
Probably save. So unless you kind of,
I think that's fair.
Waste it. But as long as you have it, you'll be able to 120.
Okay.
必殺技っていうものを
Chakras will now be unlocked at a lower level. I think that's good. When conditions are fulfilled, perfect balance will allow you for execution of the Masterful Blitz. The available Blitz changes depending on the weapon skills used when under the effect of perfect balance. I have no clue what that means.
出てきます。
So I mean, it's been adjusted fairly.
Again, I'm not a Monk player.
But so just going into a bit, we will have 3 chakras.
でさらに陰と陽2つの陶器があって、
And then so there will be like a yin and a yang.
その組み合わせによって必殺技の中身が変わります。
And so getting like a balance of those chakras and the 2 different types of it will allow for the different skills to be activated.
Huh.
ちょっと待ってね。
Take a moment.
ちょっと分かりづらいよね。
He has to look up something.
チャクラを付与する仕組みって。
Wait, how does this class play again? Let me log in here very quickly.
チャージのアクションになってます。
So with this chakra system, you will need to activate it using perfect balance. But perfect balance is going to be a charge action that can stack up to 2.
しかも、チャージタイム40秒なので回転が早いです。
And stack, each stack is charged up every 40 seconds, so it's quite fast.
That's like, he sounds like me, who's just approving of everything they are saying because he has absolutely no clue what they are talking about. I have no clue what they're talking about.
So,
Again, not a Monk player at all.
Of trying to rush with the different skills that you activate and quickly going through these different skills.
I would say I don't see a lot of monks.
With the implementation of Masterful Blitz, it does get a lot
I have the feeling monks
so,
disappeared a little bit.
True Strike and Twin
Which probably had to
Snakes
do with like the big
not
changes
have,
they had in
like
Shadowbringers.
a directional condition.
So I wonder.
いいですよね。ここまでいいです。大丈夫です。で、長年
Alright, let's jump into the.
We want to.
すべてが
Oh wow, they are showing the monk in action.
everything looks new.
This is why he logged in.
新エリアですからね。
ね、新しい
Because it's a new area.
new area, new BGM.
まあ当然ですけど、
This looks great, by the way.
お伝えしてあるデノミネーションって入って
I
る
love the Indian touch they have with this new area.
全体ギューってね、
It's beautiful.
縮んだ状態です。
Well, just a word of note, downscaling has been already implemented in this build, so please don't be surprised if the numbers feel a lot more compact.
What? The monk doesn't do any damage. Whoa. Okay, hello movability.
So as you can see, that's the 3 stacks.
Damn.
まあテクニカルではあるとは思いますけど、はい、30秒でチャージされます、ね。で必殺技だけありますよ。
So the monks shouldn't complain anymore that they got hit by any like AoE attack or something like that. Like, hey, you have now dodge. God, I love the music. I only hear it faintly in the background, but it sounds amazing. Okay. So those are the...
Can you see the 3 kind of below that chakra gauge?
Yeah.
There?
はい。 これがチャクラですね。で、ここに必殺技が出てるんで、
おお、
3つ違うチャクラをつけた時に出せる必殺技。
And so once you have those charged, up to 3 chakras that are opened up, you can unleash your Masterful Blitz.
で、それ今1個使ったことによって、
はい、
ヨウ
You need to play again.
ヨウの
I have to play it in October, and I might stream it a little bit. Maybe I do it over the weekend on YouTube, because I have to finish up the main story. I haven't done the latest pre-expansion patch yet. I was pushing that away, and I have to finish like some classes and whatnot. So yeah, I will probably play some more Final Fantasy XIV in October, and I will probably do that over the weekend streams.
So, we have something here right now, but another example is if we have 3 of the same.
今イン
がついてますね。
はい。
イン
はいいんです。
インの陶器が
インの陶
器がついてます。
The yin and yang. It wasn't in my glossary, so I'm going with yin and yang.
そうね、まだないもんね。
Just call it yin and yang. It's dark and light. It's yin and yang. Like you don't have to make up like something else for it.
So now you have the other side, and then you stack your 3 chakras again, and then you unleash a pretty flashy move there in your.
It seems to be a bit more complicated now.
なるほど。
はい。というわけで忙しいので、まあこの聖剣好きと総称だだけ方向指定がなくなって、まあ他は残ってます。
なるほど。
はい。
So Yoshi P is definitely not a clicker.
He's
a keyboard user.
So that's why we adjusted the 2.
I'm such a horrible clicker. Especially in Final Fantasy XIV, where everything is like much more slower. You don't really need like hotkeys a lot.
これ以上はね、メディアの皆さんのそうですね、仕事を奪ってしまう。
So I think we will leave it at that.
All right.
And we don't want to take away from the media and influencers content. So.
Okay. The media and some YouTubers apparently will showcase some more stuff. Well, let's talk about the samurai, shall we? Effects granted by Jinpu and Shifu can now also apply by AoE combos.
Because the effects are applied to AoE combos as well.
That's nice. That's a nice change. I always felt like with AoE combos, you take like something away from your rotation. Never liked that. A new action in the vein of Aijutsu and Tsubame Geshi will be available. Nice! Yeah, that was the big finisher we saw, I think, in the promotional video. So I'm okay with that.
Samurai, of course, we wanted to kind of expand upon that pure melee DPS.
They nailed that pretty good in Shadowbringers. Like the DPS, the samurai is just pushing out as obscene at this point. Then again, he also doesn't have any support abilities, so.
And of course, with the samurai, because it's just a straightforward sort of evolution from the last expansion, we have just primarily added new actions, but the Tsubame Gaishi and Meikyo Shisui have become stackable to 2 charges. So whenever you go into a particular content and you want to go into a fight with that sort of burst of attack, there is
makes sense.
For ease of use.
As a samurai player, like it's like, yeah, okay. I think the samurai is in a really good spot right now. Just needs a few new abilities, makes it a little bit easier around the corners, and that's about it. I have no clue what that means. I am so sorry.
We don't want the.
I will jump through this. Alright, sorry. Yeah, ninja, I have... My brain
出ました。
cannot keep up with the ninja. I have no clue what it means.
Last but not least, this is our new male
Yes.
job Reaper.
Now I can say I have no clue what this class is doing, but that goes for everyone. So let's listen to this.
まあ自分自身の攻撃と、まあ自分にくっついてきてるアバターという、
Oh, interesting.
限定で攻撃をしていきます。で最後
This reminds me very much of the Reaper class in Guild Wars 1.
音ができます。
So of course with Reaper, they use the scythe, like a double-handed scythe, to attack. So you have your own attacks that you are unleashing, and then you have the avatar that will also attack at the same time. So you're attacking in tandem, and then plus you will be able to service the avatar's vessel, and so you allow for it to kind of possess you to unleash even more powerful attacks.
続いての項目どうぞ。で、1個だけ、まあシナジー。
Oh, you can enhance your party's members, so you're not a pure DPS class.
One job that does this. There's it's able to grant enhancements to party.
I mean, that's good.
Sorry, this is the only like synergy related action that this job has.
That's the problem with the samurai bit. If you're not doing like the most of the DPS, and that's like the same goes with the mechanist, right? If you're not doing most of the DPS, then the question is, why should I take you with me in a dungeon or in a raid? Because that's all you can do. But if you have some buffs and some enhancements for the party, like there are a lot of groups out there who are like, alright, well, you didn't do most of the DPS, you could have done more, but at least you gave us all the enhancements, so you can, yeah, it's okay, you can stay. Unique and specialized actions give them an edge. Let's see what you did there. In specific combat situations.
Some of the movements
whatever that means.
that the Reaper does is quite unique as well. And so it says here, unique and specialized actions give them an edge in specific combat situations.
ざっくりですね、流れのイメージをちょっと口頭でね、まずご説明しようと思います。
はい。
So just a very rough and sort of general explanation of the flow here.
Yes.
まずこの画面にある2つのゲージなんですけど、1つがソウルゲージ。
はい。
So if you take a look at the job HUD there, you see two different sort of gauges, but one of them, the top one, is the soul gauge.
で、まあソウルゲージを貯めて、アバターと一緒に攻撃ウェポンスキルを使う。そのソウルゲージを消費してね。
And then, so you would charge up the soul gauge in order to unleash different attacks. And this also applies to some of the attacks that you unleash together with your avatar. And that
reminds me a bit of
deplete some of the
Red
charge
Mage?
that is built up in the soul gauge.
A little
で、
bit?
そのアバターと一緒に戦うと、シュラウドゲージっていうのが今度は
Like having two gauges basically you were building
溜
up.
まるとアバターと融合できるようになるので、最終的にはアバターと融合して、さらに特別なコンボをばらしていく。
To a certain
みたいな
degree.
のが基本になります。
And then once you unleash the weapon skills using your own attacks plus the avatar, then a second gauge starts to fill up. That is the
Assume it's this
shroud
one.
gauge. And with this accumulating charge, then it will eventually allow for you to kind of let the avatar kind of merge with you. You would become the avatar's vessel, and then you are able to unleash even stronger special combos. So that's kind of like the basic flow.
Okay.
どちらかというと、ピュア DPS に近いです。
So assume this is where you have your downtime, and then when you become the vessel for the
Because of
avatar,
that, I think
is
we
where you really
lean
start to do
towards that
DPS.
sort of pure melee DPS.
So you
Kind
have
of
some
resulted in
downtime,
play.
and then you have your high
サム
burst
ライの方が
moments.
ピュアではありますけど、サムライと同等のピュアメレ DPS とは言わないですけど、ピュア寄りです。
なるほど。
はい。
Of course, our samurai is definitely a pure melee DPS.
Yes.
So it's not quite as extreme as the samurai, but I think it does skew towards that sort of melee, pure melee.
Okay.
じゃあ
More
こちらも
pure
見ないと
DPS.
わかんないよっていう YouTube でチラッチラッ
まあわからないですね。
I think they would change depending on what people like throughout the expansion, that they would go
And
like
I
in
think I
one
see a
way
lot of
or the other
comments,
direction.
In
When
YouTube,
people
I
say,
think,
hey, we want more
saying that, oh,
DPS,
but
then they
we
might
don't
change us to
understand
that, or
unless
they
you
say,
show it
hey,
to
give
us,
us more
please.
support, and they'll probably do that.
show
So
us just a little bit. So
we will see
allow
how
us to show it
the
on
Reaper will do in
YouTube.
6.0.
さあどうぞ。
こちらが。あ、鎌持ってる。じゃあ。She has nice.
これどっかのプロデューサー兼ディレクターがステージで来て社長と一緒に並んで写ってる写真でなんだこの会社って言われてた。
Oh, this reminds me of a certain outfit that a certain producer director of a game had worn at a certain event.
I would say
next to
he
our
showed less skin though.
CEO, and made people wonder what kind of game is this?
Well, at least you didn't came out in a whip.
ざっとゆっくりちょっと動
With a
か
whip.
しますね。
ほい。
So just a rough overview and kind of take you step by step.
Oh yeah,
お願いします。
Yoshi P is definitely not a clicker.
します
Definitely
Sorry,
not a
one
clicker.
moment, we're gonna prep.
でこれ一個ねアビリティじゃねシナジのやつにかけました。
Ooh, all the buffs.
You've applied the synergistic
で枠を
ability.
入れました。
and
I take it
applied
back,
that.
he is a clicker.
で
He is such a clicker, Yoshi P. No, he is not. He is only clicking for like a few occasions. Again, clicking is completely fine in Final Fantasy XIV because it has like a good amount of downtime in between the abilities.
Back attack. Oops. I think we ran out of charge, sorry.
But
でこう殴っていくとまず
no, the cooldown, the global cooldown still is
溜まりますね
as high as normal.
So as you can see, when you continue to hit the enemy, the soul gauge kind of fills up.
Yeah, still around 2 seconds. Oh yeah, I'm not, I'm not clicking all my abilities. No, I'm not that kind of person.
でアバターを使って
おう。
Most of my 1 to 6, 7 keys, I would say, I'm using my hotkeys, and then everything
Sorry,
else
it's
I'm
kind of
a
hard
clicker.
to jump in with the translations, but
でこれでシュラウドゲージが50にアバターを使えば使うほどシュラウドゲージが溜まると思うんです
Okay,
よね
you filled up the gouge.
but again, just a reminder, once you attack using your avatar, the shroud gauge starts to fill up.
Mm-hmm.
で、これですね演習します
And transform.
That looks cool. Yeah, very much reminds me of Guild Wars 1.
これちゃんとね皆さんのキャラが
Man, even the eyes are like super red. Look at that. That looks
But
cool,
yeah,
man.
Each of your characters will take on its own form, or not its own form, but I'm sorry. It's going to take form, and it'll still be your character.
完全にダークサイドになりました。
落ちてますね
Yeah, now, yeah, he completely fall into the dark side.
Yes, totally.
Looks neat.
これはいい中にって書いてある
I'm not sure if I like the class.
英語にしづらい
This is very, very.
I mean, I'm a sci
emo.
fan. Yeah, very emo
アク
class.
ションなんですけど
But I'm not sure how I feel about the class yet.
このポジ
I
シ
think
ョンから
I have to try it out. Like,
方向に対して
when it comes to Final
前に
Fantasy XIV,
移動するアクション
I see
後ろに移動
classes
するアクションが
and I'm like,
So as for a gap closer, there are.
does
there's
it
a move
really
where it'll
interest
allow
me?
you
And then I
to
play the
move,
class and I'm like,
towards, like
oh,
forward, and then there's a
Oh.
way to move kind of backwards.
like the samurai was a wonderful example of that, or the astrologer.
ゲー
And
トを開けておくことができる一定時間
there was another, like, especially the astrologer.
So
And then it
you'll be
became my
opening a
main
gate
healer
of sorts,
class
like
in
a bridge
Stormblood.
that you can go through, and it stays
And in,
open for a certain amount of
Heavensward.
time.
Well, not in Shadowbringers anymore because I think they butchered the class. But
なるほど。
that's just me.
So if you are able to move before the gate closes up, you can go back to whatever position you started off from.
It's pretty neat. You can even use it like backwards and stuff. That gives you a lot of mobility. Man, I wonder what they're doing for the classes who don't have like a lot of mobility. Like the thing with raids in dungeon is that they're becoming more and more crazy with the things going on. And when you have movability, you get a real edge. Like that's one of the problems the Mechanist has,
right?
right?
Now we're just making
Huge of
adjustments to it.
DPS
It's not like
potential.
this is a main job or anything.
Not a lot of
You would-
movability.
a way to
So-
go about using this gate is to.
And some of the abilities
leave it
the enemies are
there.
using now are very tight.
It's in front of like an enemy.
So if you
sorry, an
take a
enemy.
second too long, you are
Close the gap
toast.
towards them, hit them, and then
So
go
it's
back.
like,
そうどうしよう
movability seems to become more and more king. Like, I mean, there is a saying, right?
だけど違う
Like, you can do as much DPS as you want, but a dead DPS doesn't do any DPS at all.
ちょっとここから
Like what-
早い
what-
融合した
What does most of the DPS in the game
Really quickly
do
after
for you if you are lying
avatar
dead on the ground?
take over.
Damn, that's a lot of damage. Holy moly.
融合するとちょっとプレイ速度変わるので
Lots of burst.
結構テクニカルですね今までのように
They showed the monk earlier
なんだろう単
and
体
just
技で
I don't know
ゲージを貯め
if
てってよりは
they didn't do the rotation right
あ
with the monk because they just wanted to show off like
の
some of the new
割とチャージャー
abilities.
とか使って
But when you
一気に
look at the
貯めて
DPS of the Reaper right now in comparison,
長
wow.
めにこうソウルゲージを貯めてようやく呼び出してみたいな感じじゃなくてどんどん切り替えていくことになるんでプレイ
Then
感
again,
も
balancing is
かなり
still
違います
happening. As somebody who has
With
worked on the balancing in Stormblood,
tempo of these different actions that you have to
we'll
do,
basically
it is
be
quite
doing
fast.
balancing
So
of the
it
classes
does require a
/
lot of,
jobs
technical
till
aspect of it. And it's not
day of the release.
necessarily like a single target. All
Like we had some last minute changes, especially to the Black Mage.
Because
the Black Mage was a bit
too
much.
It's not like an endurance thing. Like you don't like build and build and build and build and unleash at one time, but it's quite fast. So I think the play style is quite different from what we had previous with it compared to any of the existing jobs.
でもなんだろう一通り当然全ジョブ触ってますけどテンポはすごい気持ちよくてね楽しかったっす
That being said, looking at the different jobs, this one included, the tempo does feel really good. So I think it is quite interesting.
これはね結構
Yeah, the tempo feels very fast with this.
And so I think the more you get
Where
your
the
hands on it
I sometimes
and
feel like
try
the
it out,
samurai
it's
has
something that you
this
can, kind of
a lot of
master
burst
and try
moments.
to,
There isn't a
kind of
lot
make
of
the most out of it. It is
fluidity
quite
to
fun.
it sometimes. It got better though, especially with the Shadowbringers. It got much better with the samurai.
ガス欠に
But it's still
な
not
らないしていかなきゃいけない
this.
のでだからまあもうまあ人気がきっと出るだろうなと思って、もうちょっと優しめにしたかったんですけど、意外となんだろういい感じの難しさになったかなとは思うんでまあ練習したらしただけ面白いかなとは思うんで
But of course, you have to be mindful of like resource management and making sure that your gauges are up and you're going through this properly, managing it properly. And of course, with this being a new job, very flashy moves, expect it to be very popular, and so
No.
we worked hard about making it a little bit less challenging, so to speak. But
Don't say it's so.
It's a good kind of difficult, and again, it's something that would be fun to
God,
master.
I need her background.
And the more
I need her
you
background so
delve deeper
much.
into it, the more you can.
I hope there's actually
feel
like a
you can get out of
spot in
it.
the game where you can just stand with your character and record it, and then I would totally use that as my streamer
アバ
background.
ターとやる技みたいな時はこうしてが存在するものもあります。なんかそこはどっちかというと味付けです。はい。
Of course, the base combo doesn't require any sort of directionals, but once you start involving your avatar, there will be. So be careful of that. But I think it's just, it adds flavor to the different abilities.
Directionals.
簡単じゃんって
It's kind of interesting to see some of the thoughts the community has as of late when it comes to directionals. Like more and more people are getting a little bit annoyed by it, depending on the boss fights they have, because directionals become really complicated and annoying.
And then we also have those people saying, oh, but it's an easy job in the comments, which is not true. You are going to be moving around the battlefield pretty quickly, and you're also trying to get through your rotations very quickly. So, and you also have to remember, okay, so I've used this skill, so where does it connect to next? So it's not easy per se.
I mean, the game is doing a pretty easy job to tell you, like, when you use ability A, then you have this highlighted icon of now use ability B. Like, if they're not, like, going completely crazy on that,
I also see comments
going
saying
through the
that,
rotation
I wanna
shouldn't
see
be a
Limit Break
problem.
3, but I'm afraid this is in this world that we created for the media tour, we don't have the debug command to use the LB3, or we don't have the debug command LB3 free. So sorry, I'm not.
We
able
can't
to show it
cheat.
to you.
We can't cheat.
ただですね、
I wonder if this is the internal live server testing.
の最後にゼノスが使ってるなんか
Like, I don't know how much they have changed things from Stormblood, but in Stormblood we basically had multiple
But
servers.
that being said,
like,
you may
a
have
live
seen,
server,
the benchmark
then
trailer,
a specific, like,
but
debug
when you
server,
see Xenos
and
at
then the
end, he does a
crazy
really
cheat the heck out of
flashy
it server.
move. That
So they
is
basically had
the
like
Reaper's
three
LB3.
servers.
なのであれをご覧いただくと
Play the game,
あの LB3 があ
cheat the
こういうの
game,
がっていうのが分かります
break the game. That was
I
basically the
think that
three
would be a good
servers we
reference
had.
if you want to see what the Reaper's LB3 looks like.
はいではちょっとこれでまあリーパー終わりにしようと思うんですけど、
はい
まあ2時間になるんで
そうなんです。
3休憩と
はい。なので、ここらで一旦ちょっと手短に10分ぐらい、10分休憩ぐらいを
はい
一回挟みたいなと。
はい
で、休憩開けたら残りの遠隔、
はいはい
シリーズの DPS とヒーラーに行こう。
全然4時間どころじゃねえな
おかしいな。数字で言いますと、当初思ってたら今40分ぐらい
押して
押してます。
はい
いや、かかるもんですね。
So, we have actually clocked in about 2 hours now.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten through all the-
We are only
well,
1.5
not the-
hours
the
behind.
Melee DPS, but I think we would like to take a 10-minute break and then we'll jump back.
Okay, let's take a
で
break.
まあそれぞれがオーソドックス
Okay, what's coming to the physical range DPS? Okay, they are just... That's all.
And
Okay,
his job
they're
is
just adjusting the
They
numbers.
have been updated accordingly in a fairly orthodox manner, so we'll just jump into it, each individual ones.
Yeah, I think the physical DPS are all in a...
ポイントとしてもう一個あって
okay state.
ダメージ軽減系の、バフですね。パーティーバフは3ジョブともリキャストが90秒になってます。
But there's one additional point that applies across the physical range DPS jobs is that any sort of buffs that mitigate damage, the recast timer has been adjusted to 90 seconds.
Oh.
さあでは銀融詩人からいきましょう。
Ha.
Okay, so jumping right into Bard.
Interesting. I love the face of the bard. It looks very much like...
まず
I got nerfed again.
の戦果アクションから発生する、まあ、パーティーバフアクションを追加しております。
says
Oh,
8
that's
of
pretty
3
good.
songs
Some more
will make
buffs for the
available
bard. We would jump
and
through the bard a bit. I'm not a bard player.
他にもありましたオートマ
So
ト
this is
ク
the
イーンに
interesting
新
one.
しい攻
A
撃
new
アクションが
mechanically
追加
themed
されていま
action
す
called Chainsaw will be
this,
added?
was featured in the
What?
video as well, but a new action will be added for the automaton.
Oh, that's the super punch they have showed in the video, I
そう
think.
ですね他だと整備が、2チャージのアクションになって
But a
ます
chainsaw?
And then
I wonder
in
what that
other
is.
changes, reassemble is now going to be chargeable up to 2 charges.
Whoa.
でこちらはですね管理が必要なので
Okay. That's
溢れないように
that's a DPS jump.
適時使っていただく必要が出てきます
And of course, with this ability being charged, you don't want to waste once it's charged up. So
Yeah.
please make sure that you are kind of strategically placing it and allowing to
Makes sense.
build up as needed.
あとは本当
Yeah, I think the
新技
Mechanist
追加で
was in a really good position. Then again, it's my main character right now, so
変わらない形にしてあります
I like to say that.
And, the rest of the adjustments are primarily just new actions being added. We have not changed the concept of trying to keep the number of
will they?
abilities that are assigned to your hotbar and still play comfortably.
Yeah.
はい、寄稿紙も以上となっておりますはい
Like after the big rework in Shadowbringers,
続いて
I don't really see a reason why they have to change the Mechanist. There's no reason for it.
There's the dancer.
ウェポンスキルで、付与されるリバー
It's
ス
like whatever.
自己化
Also,
とか
that picture of the
簡単に
dancer, like
共有化
nice
される
butt
ようになります
and back.
And weapon skill effects such as Flourishing Cascade will now be shared across single target and AoE skills.
Huh.
他にはですねどうぞ、まあ、この辺のテクニカルフィニッシュインプロとかですね、攻めの単語からさらに発生したっていうのが今回追加されています
Like I only know a little bit
And
about
new
the
actions will be available upon
dancer
execution of technical
from the
finish,
buff side of
provocation,
things.
and devilment.
So this seems to be interesting.
踊り子はバファーのね要素が強い DPS としてまあそのまま進化してます
That's a new song, isn't it?
So of course with the dancer, it does allow for different buffs to be applied, or they allow
Love it.
for applying different buffs to your party members, and so we've kind of kept that direction with the
Okay.
the update here.
They push the dancer more into the buff
単体と
direction.
話したように単体と範囲で
Makes sense.
面倒だったプロックの、管理を
I mean, that's what the
統一してあります
dancer is excelling at already.
And then, as mentioned earlier, the different pucks that are applied sometimes, and it was rather a hassle because you had to differentiate between like single target versus AOE and some of the pucks that had to be managed between those for hot
調整
effects. The
Oh, the range DPS. What do we got?
さあでは各ジョブの話に
Eldritch effect will be changed to reduce magical damage damage and will also reduce, okay, more defense
going
for the
into
mages.
individual jobs. First is the black mage.
まず一番
What we're
でかい
seeing from the
変更と
Black
がですね
Mage,
エノキア
not
ムが
much
特
changes.
性に変わりましたアストラルファイヤーかアンブラルブリザード中
Oh.
が付与されれば自動的に、エノキアムも発動するようになってます
So I think one of the most major changes is that Inoculum
That's
will
big.
be a trait that is automatically applied while under
Star Wars
the
Galaxy
effect of
clone.
fire
Get
or
out.
umbral ice.
ここはちょっと悩まなかったわけではないんですけどやっぱりこれが
That's
分かり
big.
にくさをさ
I
ら
mean,
に入れたり
big Makes it a bit easier.
なんだろうプレイヤーの間のこう火力差を結構生んじゃってたので、ここはそうすることにしました、はい
And this was actually a very hard decision, or like it did require a lot of thinking, because while it was it was causing a disparity with.
As somebody, I want to throw that in there here. As somebody who has worked primarily on Black Mage balance in Stormblood, this is such an interesting change. This is such an interesting
the player
change
skill.
because
So, we decided that
we had
were
similar
going to
talks back in the day
update.
about this, but we decided against it for various reasons.
ですけど
So it is actually interesting to see that they are now taking the route.
まあ、さらに特定の条件がある中でアストラルファイアとアンブラルブリザード
This was also something which was discussed already in Stormblood.
すごいまあ
Having like ice and fire or fire and lightning coming together and actually starting to combine
And
the
under
magical
certain
fields.
conditions, swapping between astral fire and umbral ice will make new actions available. One of which is a fairly cool looking. It looks like a combination of fire and ice.
Because they wanted to, like, switching between fire and ice always felt a little bit awkward with the Black Mage.
蘇生も持ってませんはい
Like, you had to do it because you had to keep up your combo and you had to get your DPS or your mana back. But it didn't really felt fluid. Like, your ice rotation was completely in itself, and your fire rotation was completely in itself. And they never really touched each other. And there was talk back in the day about that particular problem, that they wanted to change that, but they didn't really know how, and they didn't do that back in the day.
Especially those who are
So it seems like now they found a way to do it, which is great.
The different the black mage actions, and it did cause a disparity between the damage dealt.
Yeah.
So we have decided to change Inokian to be a trait.
他にはですね、ファイガプロックとかサンダープロックの継続時間、プロックの継続している時間ですね、を伸ばしてあるので、まあ、ちょっと折り返しでやらなきゃいけないこと今回増えてるので、その分サンダープロックの継続時間を伸ばしたりしてます。結構この辺小手先のテクニックが効くようになってるので、お試しください。
And then the proc that is applied whenever for Fire 3 or I'm sorry, Fire.
I like the new outfit, by the way, of the art.
Sorry, Faiga is Fire 4, sorry. And Thunder. And the proc that is applied whenever those are in effect has been extended because it helps with the rotations and
yeah, it was a tight rotation
more
sometimes.
things that you need to be doing in your different like skill sets and going back and forth and some of the repeated steps that need
Especially
to be
if you
done,
if
has
you
kind of
screwed up
increased. So I
to
think it
whatever
helps
reason, your
with
fire rotation in
if these
particular,
books are on
because you
a
were
bit longer
like the
so
rotation
that,
you were running was
there's
too
room
tight,
to
and then
kind of
something
make
else
use of
happened and you
that.
had to put a stop basically in your rotation, you would lose so much DPS because you had to immediately go back to your ice, build up your mana again, and build up all the other things, and then you could go back to fire. I hope they are they're making this feel a little bit more fluent.
Fire 2 and Blizzard 2 is going to have like a one step higher to that, so that your AoE rotation will change.
ついに魚が登場するのかって言われてますけど。
Are we going to have a 4 or 5?
そう日本語名だとね、英語とかはね、4、5とかなんですけど、
Should be sometimes such a troll.
日本語だとね、どうするんだろう。これ実はですね、FF 委員会で議論をしました、ね。どうしよう。
So you gotta understand with the Japanese names, and you may be familiar with this, like Fai turns into Faira, Faida, or Faiga, and then we have different tiers and different suffixes that we put in the Japanese language. And once you get to a certain point, you have to start making up some of these suffixes, and we had to bring it up to the Final Fantasy brand committee and make sure that they're kosher with it, and we had to like debate about this.
だって魔法の系統を増やすってだって FF の歴史上結構重要なわけですよ。で、結果、現委員長の北さんが
I can only imagine.
14点ぐらいだから、もうお医者さんは思い切って作っていいよって言われて、マジか。
And you know, because the franchise is very, we have a long running history, and having that sort of additional tiers to these magic spells is actually a big deal because it's
Yeah.
breaking history. But the current sort of brand executive, Mr. Kitase, was very kind to say, well, the only people who go a higher tier beyond what was already established is 14. So, Mr. Yoshida, I will trust it. I will trust your judgment to come up with a.
Are you sure you want to name the new fire tier Fire Tit? Yes.
今回ファイラの上位はハイファイラ。
わー、
High fire.
But that made me scared on it just freaked me out at the on the flip side. So I went with high fire.
まあいずれ数字があるんで、まあどっかで踏んでなきゃいけないですけど、今回じゃなくていいやと思って、はい、ちょっと寄りました。はい。
I only imagine how the Black Mage is like, why do you call it High Fire? Dude. The fireballs, man. I'm totally high, man.
仮にですよ、このためにファイ行ってしたとしますよ。そしたら、ケアル行とかですかね、今後全部。
そうね。それは困る。
いいんですね、それで。
And I see comments on the Japanese side. Oh, you chickened out, Yoshida. but let me, to be fair, like if we add like say a gyo suffix and like it's fai gyo.
Fai gyo.
Tier 4 or tier 5 magic is going to be like cure gyo. You know?
そうなんですよ。まあなんで、まあ今回はちょっと。
Yeah, I can see where that is a
い
problem.
ろいろ考えまして。
なるほど。
Naming is hard, especially if you still have to be on like Final Fantasy brand somewhat.
あとはまあまあちょっと話を黒魔同士に戻すと、激聖魔が2スタックのチャージアクションになって、で30秒でチャージするんで、これも結構腕に差が出てくるかな、使いどころって感じですね。はい。
I
Man.
proposed the idea, but it was rejected.
Red Mage. Okay, new action will be available upon execution of Scourge. So another finisher, so to speak.
Scourge. I think you've noticed that in the video.
Yep.
あとですね、次のバルフレア。
Bear Flare, Bear Holy, and Scorch will be changed to AoEs. Oh, that's big.
And then the second point is Bear Flare, Bear Holy, and Scorch will be changed to
Huh.
AoEs, available as part of AoE rotations.
That's good. I think the Red Mage needed some more love in the AoE department.
結構パーティー用のですね。はい。結構強いなと思ってたん
Yeah.
ですけど、これが入って割とねサポート側によりイメージがシフトしてる感じですね。
And then the third point is a defensive party-wide enhancement will be added, which I think is pretty powerful. So
Huh.
you can also help
So to
out
give the
with
Red
support
Mage a bit more buffs. Interesting.
その名もバマジック。
バマジック。
バマジック。ほう。のが追加されてます。
from magic.
今。
God, I love the Final Fantasy XIV soundtrack.
まあもう出てるか大丈夫か。あじゃないバマジック。ごめんね発音が悪くて。バ。
Okay.
Of course,
冒険の回
is accumulated
Like, I'm not a Red Mage player, I can't really...
Red Mage.
ドットが全部なくなります。はい。
Yeah! The Summoner gets some significant changes to the job mechanics, we already saw that. And some people would say again, didn't the Summoner get like a relatively big remake in...
そしてですね、
Stormland? No, Shadowbringer.
イフリーとガルーダ、タイタンを
Able to summon Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan, not just Aegis.
Next is able to summon Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan, and not just Aegis.
Aegis.
ただこれですね、 イフリートルビー、タイタントパーズ、ガルーダエメラルドと言ってですね。
All actions applying damage over time will be removed. I just see that. Huh. Okay. That's interesting.
But that being said, these are Ifrit Ruby, Titan Topaz, and Garuda Emerald. So we are not literally calling forth these primals, of course, because it's too dangerous.
Okay, Pokemon.
To be summoning primals. So the concept is we are sort of transferring their energy, so to speak, into these different sort of jewels, so to speak, and
Pokeballs. Just call them Pokeballs. You are so close to that already. Just admit it. So you're literally becoming like the Pokemon trainer, swapping through your Pokemon. Alright. I mean, we have been pretty close to that with the summoner already, so why not take the last step and actually jump over the edge and just do it.
Summons. The summoner, him or herself, will gain the sort of elemental ether and sort of switch into different modes.
Yeah, that looks actually really cool, not gonna lie.
で、ですね。まずやっぱり召喚師っていうイメージに沿うように今回本当に大幅に変更させていただきました。
I wonder how that changes the interface and how that changes the abilities and how many abilities you will have on your hotbar. I like that. I always like the first time when I played the summoner. I felt the summoner was pretty underwhelming from a lore perspective. Like you were the summoner of like super strong beings, and the only thing you got was a carbuncle.
So, in terms of the
it's like,
rotation or the flow of
and then of course they changed that. They added more and more over the expansions. Right? Yeah, Bahamut, Phoenix. And all that. So they definitely did go down the route more of making it feel like you're a real summoner.
Three, or like just doing that until you've accumulated enough to using these again. Consolidate some of these actions, and so on the game.
Show me some action. Show me some action.
It only affects how you are able to view these.
Wow, that's not a lot of abilities on the hotbar right now. What's going on here?
ここにカーバンクル出てるんですけど、召喚師自身のレベルが上がっていくと、ここがイフリートエギになったりするんですけど、まあ僕はカーバンクルの方が可愛くて好きなので、これエギミラプリしてありますカーバンクル。あ、なるほど。はい。
So of course, with the right now we see the carbuncle appearing on the screen, but you may be familiar as the player character goes up, this Eggy would turn into like an Ifrit, but then right now I like the look of carbuncle, so I have glamored it to a carbuncle.
Oh, okay. So it's basically the Ifrit, but the Eggy Ifrit, but he glimmered it to a carbuncle. Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Okay, there's the mini Bahamut.
We have summoned the Demi Bahamut.
Looks a bit smaller?
鎖につながってますけど、はい、解放されました。で、こうなるとこの3つの
Okay, now you can
関
switch.
心が呼べるようになります。どれからでもいいです。
And then, of course, with that, you get the elemental properties. I hope you can see it under the gauge. There's like 3 jewels kind of chained up, and now those have been unlocked. And so that shows that you are able to summon Ifrit, Titan, or Garuda.
Okay.
呼び出すとエーテルが付与されて、カウントダウンが
So there's a countdown.
2スタックのアクションが付与されているので、
And how often you can use it?
イフリートの技を使います。
Yep. How often you can use
So
their
once
special
you call
abilities.
forth these elemental primals, you do get.
That you now have a melee attack as a summoner
You see that
is
there's a two-step
bonkers.
action, and so you are able to execute Ifrit's actions.
これ今のはイフリートのエーテルをもらったので、
はい
栄唱時間が長い代わりに強力な炎の魔法が2発使える。であと突進と追撃っていう攻撃が、使えるようになります。イフリートのモードとして。はい。
And so we were looking at Ifrit's actions, but with the elemental properties or ether obtained from Ifrit.
It seems like you
while
don't have a
cast
lot
time
of
is
abilities
long,
anymore.
It is a very powerful fire-based spell that you can cast, and then there's also like a rush
Interesting.
sort of attack that you can do, and this is the Ifrit actions that is available.
でここはやっぱり栄唱が必要なアクションになってるので、
はい
ギミック処理をしなきゃいけないタイミングでイフリートを呼んでしまうとロスになるので、他のものにしましょうとか、動かなくていい時にイフリートを使うようにしようとか、そのあたりはうまく考えていただければいいかな。
So this kind of ties into what we mentioned about timelines, but with Ifrit's action,
後で召喚するんです。
Okay, there's a bit of Titan.
what you can
朝
do,
That looks cool.
smashing from two sides,
でこれは回数じゃなくて
is also instant, and so
でも使わないと
うん
軽く出ないので、なんかもうとりあえずタイタンだけ使ってきゃいいやみたいなのやると目も当たらないことになる。
and sort of building your strategy.
So you're
that
really
you can
now just
utilize
building up the
those three
summons
within,
and use the summon
the
special
reading
abilities. So you're
はい
literally becoming a pet class completely.
大体そんな
Which I think is what a lot of people expected from the summoner to begin with. Like, let's be honest here,
いいとこ
with the beginning of the summoner back in the day, and it got better, like as I said, but especially at the beginning, the only thing you really did was you had your summon out that would auto attack, and you wouldn't be that different from a standard mage. That changed, thankfully, a bit more with the expansions, but it was still like, I'm a summoner and I don't really utilize my summons too much. And now they are going all in on it,
ろにね落ちたのではないかなとは思っています
which I enjoy. I think that's good. I might have to take a
And
look
we
at the
also
summoner.
looked at
Oh god, the healers.
まずヒーラー共通項なんですけ
Let's have a
ど、
look at
各
this.
ヒーラーに新しい単体バフの付与アクションを追加
New actions that apply single target buffs will be added? Wait, didn't we just remove
So the
those?
first thing is new actions that apply single target buffs will be added to each healer, and emphasis on single.
Oh, the white
target
mage is
buffs.
becoming a water
で
healer.
それからですね、全体的にヒーラーの攻撃魔法の栄唱時間が短くなっております。
Oh, cast and
And then,
force.
overall, we did reduce the cast time for.
This is so interesting because in Shadowbringers, I would say they were moving healers a little bit more to heal, don't DPS. I'm not saying don't do DPS, but you could see that their focus was more on the healing sides of the healers than they could actually also do DPS. You still needed the healers to do DPS in a lot of encounters, and they're still doing it, don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But the feeling you got was that the focus was very much on the healing side of things. That they are now reducing the cast time for offensive spells. Seems like they're pushing them back into the, if you don't have anything else to do DPS. And it also helps, like, they are still, especially new players who come from, let's say, World of Warcraft, who are confused. They're very much confused when they're playing Final Fantasy for the first time. They're playing a healer, and the group is like, "What are you doing?" Healing. I only lost 10% of my health. Why are you healing? Because I'm the healer? No, you DPS. But I'm a healer. No, you DPS right now. Come back with healing when I'm at 10% health. It's such a different thing, whereas in World of Warcraft, you just heal. You just heal.
Offensive spells.
そしてですね、
So different for
全
people.
ヒーラー待ってた。
It takes a
リ
long
ミットブレイ
long
クの
time
効
to
果範
get
囲がですね、50メ
used
ー
to
トルに
that.
拡大されました。
And then limit break area of effect will
Wonderful.
be expanded to 50
I like that.
yalms. And I hear Foxconn clapping.
届いてねみたいな、ナイス LB 届いてねみたいなやつがなくなるんじゃないかな。
Awesome.
We will finally avoid situations where people are like, "Oh yeah, great LB, but I was."
Oh
not
yeah, it
that."
happens sometimes. It's like really
で、まあ今回その以前からお伝え
1 meter
ヒ
away.
ーラーロールに
You
関して
have
は
the AoE resurrection,
ジョブで
and you're like literally on the edge of that AoE resurrection, and you're like, oh
Also with the
no.
healers,
Especially as a healer, it's so
welcoming
awkward
the
when there's
new
still like
Sage
1 or 2
job,
people lying
we'll be
outside of
switching
the
up with 2
of the
jobs
limit
being
break.
pure healer and then 2 jobs being barrier healers.
基本攻撃魔法の詠唱時間は軒並み 1.5 秒になってます。はいはい。
And then for the offensive spells, like the primary offensive spells, they're in general going to be a 1.5 second cast time, which is pretty
Okay.
quick.
まあアビリティがねかなり増えてきて、アビリティを使う機会が多いので、まあグローバルクールダウンにどうしても食い込んじゃってすごい気持ち悪いストレスっていうところがあったと思うので、そこを軽減するために詠唱時間を短くしてあります。
With needing to execute abilities, it tended to, or like casting tended to sort of eat into the global cooldown time, and I'm sure people were very frustrated, or would have been very frustrated with it. So we're hoping that by sort of reducing the cast time for basic
Yeah.
attack spells to 1.5 seconds, that would reduce the frustration and stress.
Good.
それでは白魔導士からいきましょう。
I think in Shadowbringers we had far more moments where the healer was DPSing, and that was good. But then something happened, and that global cooldown was still in the way, and the healer couldn't do anything about it. It was so frustrating. Like, the healer did the right decision at the point to DPS, but then the global cooldown was like, well, actually, it wasn't.
So with the white
As
mage,
it's-
this is just a simple update, as simple can be.
Wow, that's
it
like-
it reads a functionality. A
We are cool
functionally
with the
and
white
visually
mage.
distinct restorative field action will be.
That's all we are doing.
ピュアヒーラーに該当します。
Ha.
And of course, white mage will fall under that pure healer category.
Of course. They always have been.
ホーリーのジョイ、
はい。
ホーリジャだったかなが入るんで、
Ha.
そいつでもリー
Wow.
ダー作っていう
That's like,
なるほど。
we really don't do much here.
And then a higher tier for the holy spell will be added, and so that will also contribute to the accumulation of lilies.
で、非常に残念なお知らせなんですけど、アクアオーラ
I think the white mage was always like the most like balanced healer.
And one
Because-
unfortunate news with the white mage is that fluid aura has been relieved of its duties.
Oh.
あ
I mean,
とはですね、ディバインベリゾンがチャージアクションに
うん。
なってますね。はい。
Then another update would be Divine Benison will become a charge action.
yeah, like the white mage was always the priest in this game, so it was like the straightforward, you know what to expect from this healer.
But yeah, with the white mage, it's pretty straightforward. I
Yeah.
Think,
I don't
controls will
really see
feel,
big changes
as it
necessary.
was, and it'll be a fairly smooth transition with these updates.
はい。では、先へ進みます。続いては先生
Oh no.
Full sect and nocturnal sect will be removed, and basic healing
What?
actions will be adjusted to have the same effects as they would have while under diurnal sect.
ただこれ、
Oh
ニュートラルセクトってアクションあるんですけど、
ん
そのニュートラルセクトの効果中のみバリア
Man, they're really scratching more and more things from the astrologian. Then again, you could argue, would you use Nocturnal Sect? like most of the time you use Nocturnal Sect when there was another astrologian in the group because you didn't want to get in the way of like your HOTS, right? But it's like, let's listen to this. Let's listen to this before I give my thought. Let's listen to this.
But that being said, there is going to be an action called Neutral Sect, which, while you're under its effects, there will be some barrier actions that you can use.
Huh. Weird.
で、あとはディビネーションの効果を変更してます。
And then we've adjusted the effects of divination.
まあディビネーションによる範囲上昇バフが、カードの引き運にすげえ左右されるっていうのが、ストレスだったので、このあたり
Man, they really don't know where to go with this class, do they?
The effects of it was really affected by the luck of the draw, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it has been adjusted.
通常で使えるようになるって感じです。はい。
Basically speaking, you can use it in like normal circumstances.
で、その代わり、カードシンボルに依存する効果を持つセルフバフが付与されるようになるって感じです。なるほど。はい。
So while you can use it at any time, what will change is that depending on the seals used, it allows for enhancements to be applied to yourself.
で、
And what are those enhancements? Like you were getting the same enhancements?
ドローするたびに1回使えるっていうアビリティになり、あとはマイナーアルカナにも変更が入っています。
And then redraw will no longer be a charge action, but it will be changed into an action where every time you draw, you can use it once. And then there will also be a change to minor arcana.
あとは
I guess I have to see it in action, but I would say it sounds cool so far to have it like with every draw instead of like waiting for your charges.
And then the other update would be, you may have seen it in the video, but there will be an AoE spell that kind of has
the Star Shower
healing capabilities as well as an offensive element to it.
Huh.
やっぱりちょっと ID 行くとき
I really have the feeling they want to make the astrologian like a DPS healer.
だろうっていうところが
Like lots and lots of DPS
今回
in every ability.
ヒーラーにも範囲の
I
なんだろう ID 攻略しやすい
I have the feeling the astrologian's all over the place right now.
範囲を持たせてます。
And this is kind of based on some input that we've noticed whenever people go into instanced dungeon. Holy that the white mage can use is quite strong, and so we wanted to allow for other healer jobs to have something similar. Of course, not their characteristics differ from each other, each of the different jobs, but we did want to have some kind of AoE spell.
まあこう議論したんですけど、ここは本当に全員にもういっそスタンをつけるかとか
なるほど。
いやもちろんホーリーからスタンをなくすかとかいやだけどでもなんか特徴どんどん削れてくるのも違うと思うんですよね、なんか全員スタンつけるのもなんかもう大雑把すぎるしなのでそれぞれになんとか特徴を持たせて、なるほどね、こういうニュアンスねとか結構苦労したので、それぞれ特徴が違います。はい。
This was really quite a point of debate, actually. Like, do we want to add stun to this, or do we want to remove the stun effect from Holy, but we don't want to like kill individuality either. But if we add
doesn't really
stun
matter.
to all of them, then it just seems to be very sloppy. So we wanted to make sure that each job had its own sort of characteristic or like a signature like difference between them. So we're hoping that when players get to try it out, they would understand, oh yeah, this is the kind of nuance that you're going for.
The Astrologian doesn't really do it for me again. That's unfortunate. I really love the old Astrologian. I don't like the new one.
Is the Scholar.
Again, feels like it's all over the place, doesn't really know what I want to be. And yeah, I don't know. The new Astrologian
Of course, we're moving into the barrier healers
doesn't click with
now,
me.
But with
Scholar, a class
the party's movement speed even
Oh.
during combat.
That's interesting. Wow, that's actually big. Damn.
The buff is not
How long?
continuous perpetually.
Okay.
If it's perpetual, then people are going to be like, no, must have Scholar all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. I mean, having a movement speed already for the whole group is so big in this game.
But you may have noticed in the video, like the Scholar was running just a little faster towards the end of that job action, and that's to signify that enhancement has been applied.
Seems like though they are happy with the Scholar. Okay, let's jump to the Sage. Okay, they are barrier healer. I mean, we already knew that.
What's really unique about the Sage is that
Able to
while
attack
you are
enemies and
attacking
heal
an
designated
enemy,
party members
you can
simultaneously.
specify,
Ooh, so you
or target
are
a
like a
party member
DPS healer
to, heal
with
at
the
same
Sage.
time.
Well, I like that. Reminds me of the Hand of Cain in Warhammer Online, where you basically had to do DPS to heal your party, which was pretty cool.
Then it draws upon unique resources for healing and enhancements, as well as attack magic. As you can see.
Yeah, my idea so far is when Endwalker is coming out, I will actually start to play a Sage, so that all the people who are jumping directly into the story can just play the story, and they can still watch me without fearing to be spoiled, because I have to level the Sage in the meantime. And then when people are far enough in the story, I can start to play the story. Because the problem with streaming Final Fantasy XIV on release is always nobody wants to watch it because too many story spoilers, and people just stay away from it.
As you attack
And so I
your
can
enemy, then
evade that a
whomever
bit.
you designated will receive healing.
I
love the outfit of the Sage, man.
So this is called Cardia. Oh, I'm sorry, Cardia, and then you would typically, I think it would work well if you specify like your main tank, off tank, as your
Okay.
designated person to heal.
Huh. Yeah, very much like the melee healer in Warhammer Online. You also had to specify the person you want to like link up with to heal.
And then there's another
That's cool.
Unique characteristic where sometimes an action that you execute might be like when you're hitting somebody, an enemy, it turns into a dot also, like a damage over time.
The more I hear about the Sage, the cooler it sounds.
And then,
Did I miss the Reaper discussion?
There is a
Yes.
resource that the Sage uses, which is the Adder's Gall. That
Unfortunately,
kind of accumulates over
you have to go
time,
back into the
so
vault
that
then
you
later
can
on.
execute your
Yep.
instant barrier heals.
We're pretty much at the end of pure class discussions. Reaper looks very fluent, very
And then,
fast.
In terms of like a gap closer or like a movement type action, we have Icarus. You may have noticed in the video that the Sage is kind of flying. So it's kind of positioned as a technical barrier healer.
ちょっと実機でも説明難しいんだけど、一応出してみる？
Sorry. Yeah, we had like a 40-minute discussion about the Reaper already.
Complex, but I guess we should try it. Try to see it on the game screen.
Yes, please.
4。
はい、画面お願いします。
There we go. That is still the Reaper. There's the Sage.
おい。
I love the equipment, man.
おお。
I love the little blades, or whatever they are.
賢者です。It's Sage.
ここだけ見ると、ちょっとゲームがわからなくなるね。
Just looking at this image, you can't really distinguish. Like, wait, what kind of game is this again?
What? No.
キングの収まり方結構
Looks fantastic. I love it.
ありましたんで。
確かに。
We were very particular about how these nulas are sheathed.
That looks so cool. I love it.
結構多いっすよ、アクション。
There's quite a lot of actions available.
で、まずこのアルディアっていうアクション、まあ特徴的なんですけど、これを使って、
Oh,
まず
so
誰を
it
主に使うかっていう
saves
まあ
the ether. It stores the ether
語弊があるか
up
もしれないですけ
here,
ど、まあ指定を
and then it stops.
行く必要がある
Interesting.
感じです。
And so, going back to Cardia, this is quite unique. And so you'll be designating whom you want to heal.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be fully accurate to call it partner, but I mean, you're pointing out, you're designating somebody you will be healing.
So it's a bit like a dancer to a certain degree.
Wait.
So
Okay, you can also choose yourself.
で、ちょっと攻撃をしますね。
we'll try attacking.
Oh yeah, you do damage and heal. Oh my god. I need that. I love
So
those
as
classes
you
where you
are
just do
attacking,
DPS
because
and you heal.
I designated myself as I land.
Oh, I
an
love those
attack,
classes.
the
They're
heal
hard to
kicks
balance.
in.
They're really, really hard to balance. But I love the idea.
スタッフ的にどうですか ?SE。
Well, apparently Sage it is when the new expansion is coming out.
あらやだ、
あ
SE っていうコメントが非常に出てます。
A lot of people commenting on the sound effect, the sound effect, the sound effect. How does it sound, team? Does it sound sci-fi enough for you?
初めてこれもチェックで聞いた時結構
Looks good. Sounds good. I like the idea.
It was quite surprising when I heard it when I was doing my checks.
そしてですね、このエウクラシアというアクションを使うと技がね、一気に変わったりします。今単純な、攻撃魔法でしたよね。
I wonder if you have like, I mean, you definitely have some direct heals, right? Okay, what did he do there? He swapped?
So the one which we were talking about where an attack turns into something that can place a dot, that would be the Eucrasia. So once you cast that, an attack
Interesting.
changes into something that would allow for damage over time.
Okay. There's the shield.
普通に使えば
Okay, you still have healing.
技を変更して
なるほど。
Interesting.
So it kind of augments the different actions that the sage can cast.
Yeah, you still have direct heals, which makes sense. I love the little shield. Okay, that's your AoE heal. That's your AoE shield, I would
お
say.
分かり
You see?
Ooh. Pew pew pew.
まあ
Damn. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's the super laser, which also heals quite a bit. Wow. Okay. You have some melee attacks. It's kind of wild for me still. Like, how many range classes now have like close range or even melee attacks? Adds a little bit of risk to the gameplay, which I think is good, especially for the range classes.
It is quite fun.
Oh, this looks also good.
ヒーラーをそうで説明するのは難しいです。
非常に難しいです。
Yeah, it looks tough to explain healers.
私
I mean, so
はい
when you are solo.
It
Very
is.
true.
I can see that. Yeah, it's always a problem when you are completely alone in an area and you have to explain what the healer can do for your group, and it's like,
あの
well, which
ラ
group?
ンダムの話しかしないですよみんな。
For some reason.
The comments are filled with, oh, the sound effect, or it's like Gundam.
Well, the effects are looking pretty good.
まあというわけで本当テクニカルバリアヒーラーちょっと今までとやっぱり本当にまた違ったタイプのヒーラーとして
Yeah, I would definitely play the Sage so far.
形になってますのでぜひですね我こそはと思う方は
Seems to be a very in-depth,
まあ
diverse healer class, which was the Astrologian for a long time, and then they were just like cutting the Astrologian, and it's like, alright.
But yeah,
ありがとうございます。あ、ごめんなさい。
in any case, the Sage is definitely a technical barrier healer, and I think there is a it's worth sort of mastering the skill set that the Sage brings to you, and then of course we have the Reaper joining the melee DPS, both having
I liked
very
it.
unique mechanics and very characteristic, and it very unique.
Alright,
so,
they're showing all the
I think
classes
that
again.
people will,
We don't have to
enjoy
watch
this
that. They
and
take a
try
break.
it out when it comes out.
Let's see what else.
There hasn't been very much of a change.
Party find
there's
updates.
really not much of a need to like sort the different the other ones.
Okay.
はい。
Just some
まあなんか
probably make it easier to find stuff.
まあ前にもこれ実は話してるんですけど、レイドファインダーやっぱりこれ以上細かく条件を割るとマッチングが伸びすぎてダメなんですよ。なのでまあこれ以上細かくやればパーティー募集を使ってください。ぜひ。はい。
That's big.
I do see some comments mentioning about how they are wondering about, well, what about other sort of sorting,
Huh.
and like categorization? But,
Yeah, I can
if
see that
we
makes
add
more sense.
Conditions to the different raid finder.
Like, the problem right now is that you sometimes have two barrier healers in your group. And not so much the pure healers. The pure healers are okay, I think. But the biggest problem is really like when you have like two barrier healers, or well, the Astrologian was a barrier, or kind of barrier healer, could be a barrier healer, till the new expansion. Now that they are splitting it up more, makes more sense. I think that's a good change.
Like party composition algorithm, so to speak, it's going to lengthen the time it would take for a party to be matched up. So if
Yeah.
you want to be very granular
Because
about
keep in
who joins
mind,
the party, it might be best
healers,
to,
depending on
go
where you
to the
play,
party finder.
can be a rare thing to
さあ
find. Sometimes
では
harder
そ
than
のパー
tanks.
ティー募集の続いてアップデートのお話でございます。
Next up is updates made to the party finder.
Okay.
まずパーティー募集に出すときにヒーラー枠をピュアヒーラーとバリアヒーラーでもちろん分割
Okay, we talked about that. That makes sense.
So of course, with the party finder too, the healer category will be split between pure and barrier healer.
でさらにですね、よくこうなんかいろいろ揉める原因にもなってたところなんですけど、参加条件ですね、今回コンプリート済みで、かつ修正源を今週まだ受け取ってないよっていうのを追加しま
That's
す。
cool.
And the second point kind of ties into some of the discourse.
I love that you can
or,
just
like,
now
arguments
switch
that may
between the
happen,
jobs.
Which is in order to mitigate it. Sorry.
You can see this.
And that is a new option for players who have yet to receive weekly completion rewards will be added to
Cool.
participation conditions.
なので、もう今週断賞でいいですと。助けてくださいと。今週クリア済みの方でもいいので参加くださいっていう時は、この参加条件これ入れなければ、そういうマッチングになる、募集になるって感じですね。はい。
So if people are okay with just receiving the tokens, then and they don't mind not having the weekly completion reward, then you would not need to like specify to this option.
Okay.
それからですね、続いて、ジョブ重複制限で、検索には引っかかった。
Search results will no longer include parties who cannot join due to a one-player job
検索
requirement.
からも出なくなります。このチェックボックスが入ってると。
So search results will no longer include parties who cannot join.
It's pretty straightforward.
コンテンツ
Oh.
報酬のちょっと調整を行って
Now this is
おります。
interesting.
それがこちらです。
Duty reward adjustments.
We made some duty reward adjustments.
武器がドロップすると滅戦、もともとね、武器直ドロップ1個あったと思うんですけど、ジョブが増えたということ
They now
が
drop a weapon
ありまし
coffer.
て、今回、ジョブのランダムの武器1個ドロップするのは変わらず、それ以外にもう1個、
Trials always felt a bit like
ジ
a
ョブの武器に変わるという武器チェ
like a
ストを
certain
追加
waste
することにしました。
when it came to like weapons.
So trials with weapon drops will now drop a weapon coffer in addition to the original weapon reward.
Good.
What this means is, of course, with the dungeon loot, of course, when a weapon drops, it's randomized. And with so many jobs being added to the roster, of course, we will keep that original sort of direct drop, as we called it, of a weapon, but we will also add a coffer that will
But it could
allow
take a
for,
long time.
Whatever weapon of the person who
That's good.
opens the coffer will get as like an addition.
That's good.
で、この調整をですね、次のページにいただいて、どうぞ。まあ、3.x までの高難易度レイドの
The fourth turn of high-end raids released up through 3.x will now drop a weapon coffer in addition to the original weapon reward.
And so this
Oh.
will apply. The
Good.
fourth turn of high-end raids released up through 3.x will now drop a weapon coffer in
Okay.
addition to the original weapon.
That's neat.
なので
People don't have to run those things too
If you're
often.
lucky,
Yeah.
しておきました。
High-end raids released up through 4.x will
so
now
we
drop
tried to
gear
even
and
out,
accessoires
try to
in the
make
form
it,
of coffers
the
as
same
in
across the
Eden.
board, and then sort of
Good.
revisited the drop table of past coffers
Again,
as well, so that we can
good.
add that sort of coffer.
Less
to
stupid
these
randomness.
content.
Like they are literally people who have
で
been running those duties for weeks and they just were not able to get a weapon. It is so frustrating.
ですね。
It
まあ
sucks.
大体コンテンツ報酬関係の調整
So this is good.
続いていきましょう。
Make it a little bit less frustrating.
ですね。HUD
Oh.
レイアウトに、バトル関連でさらにちょっと大きなアッ
Ooh.
プデートがあります。
For the people who like to do more with the heart.
分離可能になるので、 自分で管理して、届きやすいところに
Moving the enhancements around.
切り離して持っていくっていうことができるようになります。
Don't care too much for it. I think the heart is sufficient.
とかっていうのも
So this is neat.
Functionality.
Oh, improved ground targeting
キャラクターコンフィグ
functionality.
これ、今までの挙動の方が好きだったっていう方もいると思うので、キャラクターコンフィグって選べるようにしてあります。まず設定を新たに項目追加
Like
してます。
sometimes the targeting functionality in
I'm
Final
sure
Fantasy
people still
XIV.
prefer the current ways. So we made it so that it is selectable. So we basically added it as a new setting in the character configuration menu.
Okay.
こちらです。 言い方としてはですね、グラウンドターゲットアクションを一回押すとグラウンドターゲットマーカー出るでしょ。
Oh, that's also good. Prevent cursor from moving beyond the ground targeting range. Awesome. Yes, please.
So the
And then
Okay, they are showing this off. I think it's pretty clear what it is. Oh, that's good. That's good. Like, basically, especially for healers, you sometimes just had to do guesswork, right? Like, you had to guess what the other healer's doing sometimes. So that's good.
The white mage is casting rays to number 2, which you can see is the paladin in that party list.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty neat. It still happens in a lot of raids.
Now this only applies to parties
that you have
and
healers who revive the same target.
Would make it easier to discern,
and
but,
it's like, oh, please shoot me. Like, especially because revive costs so much mana, and the healers are hating each other for that. So this is a great addition. This is an absolutely great addition. Love it. Too many moments where healers were reviving the same person still.
The one on the left is when you are attacking an enemy, so it's not necessarily your party member.
Hey, Zoe.
As you can see, the letters
we waste mana, a lot of mana.
Correspond to whatever enemy list that you have.
Yeah, it happened too often.
It's like a name and then the alphabet.
And hey, Zoe. Yes, we are live on YouTube. We were actually live on YouTube last week. Saturdays will be an additional YouTube week, or an additional YouTube day for everyone who missed it, because we had too many people who sometimes don't like to go to Trovo. Some people cannot watch under the week. So I was just like, okay, let's find a day where we can actually stream. And I do whatever I want. Like on the YouTube streams, I just do whatever I want on them. Like right now, we have been streaming for 2.5 hours and we have done nothing else but watching the Producer Letter for 2.5 hours already. And this thing is 7 hours long, so we are jumping a little bit through it. But like, I decide what I want to do on YouTube, and it might be some weird stuff. And yeah, but Saturdays, as it stands right now, are my YouTube streams. Like, we are not moving to YouTube. No, I have no plans. Trovo is where I want to be, but on Saturday, yeah, it started at 3 a.m. my time, and I didn't want to watch for 7 hours.
So it's that letter at the end.
I didn't want to watch it like 7 hours. Okay, but that is a nice thing. What is this? Health bars will be displayed even when incapacitated. Okay.
So of course, with the
That's good.
The health bar.
Not that I necessarily need that, but okay.
Please, everybody go on. So.
Oh.
The reason why is because with the raise the level cap, we still want to continue making adjustments to the overall balance of the different jobs, and we would like to adjust it as long as possible.
Okay, that makes sense.
Until the last minute, so before we can attempt.
It was planned that we. Quick note.
Trials.
It was planned that we are playing Age of Empires 4 today with Mr. Lemons, a multiplayer, and I'm beating Mr. Lemons' ass, right? And unfortunately, he bailed on me, something with work. I know, I don't believe him. And so I was like, okay, well, I still plan to play the beta of Age of Empires. Maybe I'm doing it tomorrow. But I also wanted to watch this, so that's what we are doing today.
To match,
I didn't even know they
upcoming
existed, the
level
honorary one.
cap.
I mean, they were
I
a
think we
recent
still
addition to
need
the
to
game.
kind of
Relatively
see
recent.
where our
And they are...
standard content kind of works out with this new level cap. And
I don't think I
overall
need them.
balance. Some of you
It's
may
the
say
easy
just
answer.
leave Leviathan open, but it's been a while. It's been a long while, so I think it's just better to close it off temporarily.
Okay.
で、再開の時期としては 6.1 から、新しいゲームコンテンツに、変えて再開していこうと思います。
Makes sense, especially with the new classes coming in, with the big
And
changes of
so,
all the
we will
other
resume,
classes. And
or,
yes, it's
yeah, we
jobs.
plan to
I'm
resume,
sorry. Classes is
from
the
patch
MMO
6.1
jargon,
with
and everyone has been
new,
using this for
content.
decades. And it's the only thing even after 7 years of Final Fantasy XIV, I still say classes. I know it's jobs, but it's like, really? Like,
many
everyone is
candidates
calling them
that we
classes,
consider
and Final Fantasy is
certain
like,
of
nope.
maybe some,
I just
many
can't.
candidates we can think
I know it's jobs. But I
そ
said
れ
classes.
ではさらに続けて
Play too many
今
other
度は
MMOs.
帯防具いよいよ
We'll
排
do
出
that.
停止が、
Oh, the belt
6月に
removal.
参りましたので、
はい
詳細にお伝えしておきましょう。
Not gonna lie,
next up.
when I was playing like some of my twins, I had some moments where I was thinking, man, finally remove those things. Just get them out of here. They're in my way. I don't want them in my inventory. They're just like, finally get rid of this, please.
Is the belt and the removal.
I have a macro called classes to quickly change
まず
jobs.
まず帯防具はすべて排出停止
I'm
で装
sorry.
備できない
I know some Final Fantasy purists are like, how dare you to call them classes? It's like, because everyone else is calling them classes in their
基本的に
games.
何もしなくて大丈夫です。装備中もしくはアーマリーチェストに入っている帯防具、それからリテーナーが装備している帯防具っていうのはすべて我々、データベースを直接調整してですね、
Everyone.
管理人にすべて
And then there is this one game who decided,
後ほど
let's be something
リリース
else.
後に
I hate when games are doing that.
えっと
Changing an established turn
みたいなのはないです。
just cause.
But with the discontinuation of belt equipment, there really isn't much that you need to do in preparation for it. Anything
Good.
that was equipped on your character or has been in the armory chest,
Oh God.
or if the retainer
Fun
was
little
coming
side
onto it
note.
for you.
A little anecdote. How do you spot a German in MMOs? There's actually a way to spot a German in MMOs. And it's absolutely hilarious. Germans coined an English term for DPS. Like, everyone is saying DPS, right? We need one range DPS, one melee DPS, one like magical DPS, or something like that, right? We are calling them DPS. Always. Germans, for whatever reason, have adapted the term DD, damage dealer. So they basically coined an English term and using them in English. We don't have like a German term. It's damage dealer, DD. But no one is using the term outside of Germany. So it's always fun when you are seeing like in MMOs, like somebody is speaking in English and then they are like also looking for one DD and you already know German. All right. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. When they are using like English terms where they think English users are also using that term. And that's not the case. It's the same thing with smartphones, right? Like Germans don't call them smartphones. They have another English term for that. And that's handy. They call them handy. So they used an English term but nobody else is using that in English. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating and hilarious.
Will all be transferred.
I feel like I've seen DD being used.
The developers will be
Maybe some people have used it in the past.
The database, and we would directly update it so that.
I'm actually surprised that people are not using DD instead of DPS.
So retrieve them
because it's shorter. And if there's one thing, especially Americans love, shorten the heck out of words.
で装着済みのマテリアとか制作品の名はそのまま残るので、マテリアを外すのは後でも大丈夫です。はい。
You can exchange it for this substitute item. I know you work really
a ring
hard to
serving as a substitute for the speed belt obtained.
Once 6.0 releases,
okay.
You will be able to exchange.
I mean, maybe damage dealer was used in like old MMOs.
Throw away your speed belt.
Like back in EverQuest or something like that. I don't know.
6.0 あのね、ちょっと待って、左から先に出して、一気に出すとわけわかんなくなっちゃうんで、まず 6.0 前でしかできないのが、左側に並んでます。マテリア生成。だからこれ連成度100のベルトがあるから、マテリア生成はしといた方がいいと思います。で、マーケットの出品とか購入、あとリーブへの納品。これはもう開けられないので、ボビーボーグ。
That's interesting.
で、皆さんで取り下げをしてってください。
So whatever you had up on the market boards will not be searchable after the expansion has launched. So if you had anything up listed in the different market boards, you might want to take them
That's still
down.
belt stuff. Belt disappears completely, whatever. We know that attribute, like, it is so fascinating. They did the same thing when they announced the expansion, right? They were sitting there for 30 to 40 minutes explaining to the crowd how downscaling works. Like, it was so weird to watch this. As somebody who has played tons of MMOs in my time, downscaling is not a new occurrence. Like, we have been doing downscaling since EverQuest? I don't know if like any of the previous MMOs before that actually did it. I don't know. But we have been doing downscaling for decades now. And it's so fascinating to see like Final Fantasy having their first downscaling ever. And they explain for 40 minutes to the people what that means. And it's like, why do you have to explain it so much? You downscale all the stats because they became too much, right? Like the numbers become longer and longer and longer, and they're taking up like your whole screen, and it becomes really annoying. And so you're just doing downscaling, or like item squish or stat squish, right? Like that's it. That's the explanation. It takes a minute to explain this. And Final Fantasy always takes the time for like 30 minutes to explain this. It's like, what? Whatever. Like, look at this. They're really sitting here for like... XP gains will be downscaled. Additionally, XP is earned from standard dungeon enemies will now be earned from dungeon bosses. Oh, this is interesting though. Oh, wow. This is interesting though. Huh. I wonder why. I wonder if there have been groups who have been just farming the mobs because the mobs are giving you so... The trash mobs are giving you so much XP, and for leveling it makes much more sense just to kill the trash mobs over and over quickly. You just pull them together, you AoE the heck out of them, you take all the XP, rinse and repeat, and you never did the bosses. I assume that's something a lot of people did for leveling as of late. And that's something they want to stop. They did something, and why am I thinking this is because they did something similar before. They did it with the what's the term? Holy moly! How can I forget the term? The slates or the slabs. What is the term for that? Wow. I'm completely blank on the word right now. You turn in for your equipment. You know, the slabs, you turn in for your equipment. And you are like collecting them in the dungeons. Holy moly. What are they called? I hate that when I blank on a terminology I have been using for years. What are they called? Tokens? Are they just called tokens? Oh, tombstones. Yeah, the tombstones. Wow. I completely blanked on tombstone. Wow. Yeah, I completely blanked on the tombstone. So what you could do in the past, and this is actually what I wanted to say, in the past, you would get those stones from just the bosses in the dungeon. You would do a boss, you would get those tombstones. But what people did is they were just farming like specific dungeons, and they always just did the first boss because it was so much faster to do, and you could acquire those stones much quicker. And then Square Enix was like, no, we are not doing this. You are just now getting all the stones at the end of the dungeon when you kill the end boss. And it seems like they're doing now the same thing with XP.
With the experience.
Okay. Oh, okay, we're doing some dancing here. Oh, this is where they prepared everything. That's cool, behind the scene. That FanFest was really good. Like, even though it was completely digital, it was really good. Da. Yo, I missed that.
Hi. Hello.
That was a great event. I really loved watching it. I really loved it.
次のハウフェス目指してまた頑張っていこうと思いますので、ぜひこれからもよろしくお願いします。はい。
Man, he always bows so much more than everyone else. Like, he... Cooking! I think they took a break here. Okay, let's jump. Oh my god. I'm hungry. Let's not look at that.
HQ, high quality.
Oh,
This is basically whenever
interesting.
you're gathering.
Yeah,
materials or,
this is for gatherers.
sometimes you unintentionally procure HQ items.
Interesting.
And so that kind of puts a lot of pressure on inventory. So we wanted to
Yeah.
combat that inventory bloat. So we've just decided
I can see
would
that.
do away with some of the HQ items.
That's okay.
And non-craftable materials obtained from certain content. So stuff that crafters or
I'm okay with that.
you deliver these items. On top of that,
Oh,
when
interesting.
you are going to be
That's weird.
like
Why have
selling
it
these
anyways?
items, HQ items will no longer be able to be sold via the market board. So you would need to reduce the quality.
装備品、完成品
Crafted items can still be
HQ
HQ.
残ります。
What is that
Now, for
soundtrack in the
items that
background?
will
なので、装備を整えていくと1回で取れる個数が増えるっていう
So they're still talking about HQ removal.
変わるのかとか。
はい、お願いします。
まず
Teleportation and
Of
Ethernet
course, with
updates.
Endwalker, we are taking
Adjustment to
food,
teleportation
and
fees.
our world
Teleportation
is
fees will be
expanding yet even further,
recalculated
so,
for 6.0.
how we currently have our
Uh-oh.
teleportation fees. Our max is at 999 gil. So
Yes.
sooner or later, most of all of the locations we need to teleport to will cost 999 gils. So considering we would like to
Do they lower the cost?
make sure that we are laying the proper foundations for further expansion. Another one of the elements that we looked at is the guild that is required to teleport to different locations.
まず現状999ギルというキャップがかかってるんですけど、キャップを1回外してます。
Of course, the current cap on the teleportation fees is 999 gil, but we are going to remove that upper limit.
今まで
Oh,
も内部計算的にはそうなってるんですけど、
That's
今
not
飛
good.
ぼうとしてるところからその、テレポート先の距離に応じて価格が変わるっていうのをやってるんですけ
Oh boy.
ど、そこをさらにちょっと
Oh
調
boy.
整した結果が、
there goes my
こちら
guild.
になっております。
So we are going to adjust or we already had the calculation set up internally. So it is
だ
right
だし
now, of course, with the level cap being, or the
Oh.
guild, the fee cap being removed, you do see costs that exceeds 1,000 gil. But because we revisited and recalculated the teleportation fees, you may notice also that some of the locations have become cheaper. to
Cheaper.
teleport.
これ、
Okay.
なので飛ぶ場所から距離が遠ければそういうほど可変します。これ
はあ
固定の値ではないので、その言い方で通じる。
Interesting.
So these fees will fluctuate depending on where you are and then where you're teleporting to. It's
Makes
not a
sense.
だったりするので、
long distance.
Okay.
The calc
あギルなんだろうよ。
Huh.
that we're
I wonder
controlling
how
with,
high we can go
having the
now.
system collect gil from our players. So if we didn't
Yeah.
implement any sort of system where players are spending gil,
We have
it would
reached some crazy
pricing, or the
numbers with
market would
guilds
be
as of
even
late.
further inflated.
So
it
the
is, again, very
inflation became really
次
bad.
オールドシャーレアンでですね、エーテラととにかく今までのリストだと
Oh.
わかんないんですよ。
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's so
書いてるんですけど、まあ実際どこだっていう
Yes.
でちょっとゲーム画面出しちゃってもらえますか。
ほい。実
Oh,
機で
finally, they're showing where to go.
まあただワンクリックっていうか増えはするんですけど、今ウルダ
So
ハ
you
で
were here.
地図が
Oh, and then you can just click on it.
でこう
Oh, it shows you where it goes.
クリックするとですね、
Oh, that's so
地
amazing.
図が変わります。
I have to admit, I sometimes still have moments where I misclick, especially in Uldua, because I'm not too often there, like a lot of other people aren't.
As you can see, the UI,
And I'm still
shows a
misclicking
list
and
of
sometimes
the different
land like
locations. Previously, it
2
was just a
Ethernets
list
further
of
left.
text. And I mean, we did put like parentheses.
That's so good.
はい
I'm so happy with that.
Updates that we wanted to share with you today.
Oh.
One of which is it affects the fishers out there who the expansion.
Yay for the
already-
fishers.
Or servers going down at the time of the expansion
Oh.
release, and so we have the server team working on
Yeah,
that
the Travis
so
system.
I'm terribly sorry, but I'm afraid we will probably
It was
not
actually
have
planned
the,
before
data center
6.0
travel
is
until,
coming out.
this 6.
But because of so many people
and
playing,
beyond,
I can see that they
well,
had to postpone
data
it.
center, is it because of an influx major
And they are
we're
still
able to
getting those influx of
Always,
players.
one. It's in about 2 weeks, and then we are gonna have, I mean, same as
Ooh.
recent TGS stages. FF14 will have a program of Astro with Yoshi P at Tokyo Game Show 2021 online.
Yoshi P would be taking a light-hearted trip to a public world and visiting player estates. Oh, that's cool. A stroll with Yoshi P. Oh boy. Oh my god. Can you imagine that? You have your house there, and Yoshi P himself is visiting your house and making remarks on your house. So, this is an interesting wall combination you have used here. I don't think this really fits. You should change that. Oh my god. Just, oh my god. People would probably like break out in tears. Would be done if he is like criticizing anything on the houses. It's
nice.
terrifying.
I thought about, well, maybe
Absolutely
show up-
terrifying.
but this
Tokyo Game Show this year. So this is not official Square Enix program, but this is done by, I mean, TGS itself. So it's presented by the Famitsu, and there will be
Oh, okay.
a special talk session with Mr. Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Okay.
Updates, like
Letter
discipline of
from the
hands,
producer. Oh
or hand
wow.
lands,
The 6th of
and
November.
system-based updates.
We'll be sharing updates on crafting, gathering, system-related adjustments, and the new PvP. I hope they are talking about the new island here as well. I really hope they are talking about the island.
そうですね。バイリンガルでお届け。あゆみさんまた頑張っていただきます。はい。
Alright, I might actually
50%
watch that.
sale.
Okay.
This is actual full
I love the art book.
月末に出るっつってね。
What?
はい。
Collector's edition thing.
なんかあるんですね。
Pretty.
brand new.
Yeah. It's brand new.
That's the vinyl?
一緒。ね、見せてもいいよって言われたんで。This will be
Alright.
available at the
I'm-
November 17th.
I still have my Age of Empires vinyl here. I've never opened that.
発売で
Oh,
で
what?
かい。これ
Oh.
はですね、This is a new collaboration with the
Damn,
between high-end
that's some
doll makers,
detail.
Vox and
It's like a
FF14.
Puppet though? It's not a statue, it's a
ヤシ
puppet.
トラがこちらボークスさん。さまざまなドールの比較製造を手掛けるボークスさんとのコラボレーションで、
I don't like her
ドールとフィギュアの魅
face.
力を合わせ持つドルフィードリームというラインナップにヤシトラがこのように
Something
登
is
場いたしますと
Her
いう
face.
ことでございまして。
これがですね、
はい
服の素材一つ一つ。
Yeah, I don't like the face.
徹底監修をさ
Looks a
せ
bit
ていただきつつ、まあもともとクオリティの高
Like
い
it looks small.
お高いとお思いでしょ
How
う。
much does it cost?
こちらなんと10万円を切りまして99,880円でのお届けとなり
Can we talk about this? Why the heck do I pay more? Oh, it's because of taxes. I assume this is the taxes difference for Europe. So we are already paying some taxes. Yeah, but still.
ます
bullshit.
でこちらがですね、2022年の12月末の発送予定なんですけれども、そのためにはですね、予約を11月21日まで
I would never buy it anyways because it's too much money.
予約商品ですので、興味がある方は予約していただいて、そうすると2020マーチャンダイズ商品のご紹介で、まずは T シャツ、パーフェクトアレキサンダーです。
Don't like it.
はい、お願いしますね。肩叩くマッサージの部分。
What the hell?
孫の手がついている。
Back scratcher.
日本は12月18日。海外の皆さんは
Okay, those look really good.
予定となっております。This will be scheduled for release.
Acrylic job stands. How much? $15 only. Oh, that's a steal.
はい、次。
I could actually see that for the sage.
ジョブが増えたので、こちらもジョブのピンバッジ
More
で
pins.
The next one is the new
Wow, the
job
pins
pin
cost nearly as much as the stands.
available in Japan region, but we are gonna
Oh,
have a
the official
new
calendar only for
calendar
Japan.
2022ということで、こちらが今年の12月24日発売。Two more Quest 10 collaboration returns.
Ah,
こちら
Dragon
イベン
Quest
ト
is
期間
coming
が
back. Okay.
10月19日から11月11日のスケジュールでよろしくせいで画角がむちゃくちゃになった。
新システムとかね、トラベルの延期っていうちょっと皆様には。
But again, we've been working just how we're going to take this next 10
I love
years
those little
ahead of
things.
us. And there's a lot of new things that we're trying for the future of Final Fantasy XIV, and we do feel that it's a new start at the same time. So of course we would love for players to enjoy Endwalker when it comes out, but there are new things on the horizon. Whenever the time comes, I would love to share some of the ideas that we want to bring in to the future. So again, while it does feel like one arc is concluding, we are looking to the future and we are looking to continue this adventure.
さあでは長時間本当に皆さんお疲れ。
I'm really interested. We at the end, by the way. I'm really interested what they mean with that, because Endwalker is the end. I mean, it's in the name, but it's like it's the end, and I wonder what they are doing afterwards. Like, they say it's the end story-wise, but what does it mean for the gameplay as well? Like, I'm really, really curious about to see where they are going with this. Yeah. Like, I really hope that they are not doing like crazy changes, like changing the combat system. I'm not a fan of the new combat system in video games. Like the more active combat system like Elder Scrolls Online has, or even like WildStar New World is using, like this more active combat system. I can deal with it, but I never liked it. I always liked the old classic system Final Fantasy XIV is using. So I'm curious what they might change for the next big chapter of Final Fantasy XIV. But first, we have Endwalker. I'm looking forward to that. I would definitely play the hell out of it. Quick note, when Endwalker is coming out, we will not immediately jump into the story, because I know that we have a lot of people here actually in my channel who play Final Fantasy XIV and they play the expansions, and we will not immediately jump into Endwalker. What we will do is we will start the Sage as a class, and that will probably take me a week. Like, I'm pretty slow with leveling, but it will probably take me a week to finish Shadowbringers and then start Endwalker. And that should be enough time for everyone to be ahead of me, right? So you don't have to fear to come into the channel and then see like the fat Endwalker spoiler and be like, oh no, I have not been there, right? That's basically the problem I had with Shadowbringers. That most of you, when we played Shadowbringers and when it came out, that you said, yeah, Mo, would love to watch you, but you are very much where I am, or even ahead of me. I'm out. So that's the last thing I really want. So I assume that we just surf around the problem with leveling the Sage from 70 to 80. And when I reach 80, most people have already reached like half of Shadowbringers, or are even finished with Shadowbringers. So that shouldn't be much of a problem. All right, but with that said, folks, let's wrap it up here. And I will take my leave. I'm not sure if I will be back tomorrow with Age of Empires 4. I will see about it, depending on what friends of mine are planning and so on and so forth. We will see about that. But I might be back for Age of Empires 4. If not, if you're watching me on YouTube, then I will be back next weekend on Saturday. At some point, I don't really have like a fixed time. I come back to YouTube and on Saturday whenever I feel like it. Like it might be earlier, it might be later. And yeah. If you want to catch me live, you can do so on Monday to Friday, starting at 9 a.m. ET with Mole in the Morning in the Gaming News at trovo.live/ChaosMole. And right now we are playing Deathloop, which I really enjoy. We took a break on Friday. On Friday we actually played Honey. I joined the cult. Yeah, and it was actually really fun. But we will return to Deathloop on Monday, because I would love to do a full playthrough of that game. And I'm curious to see how that goes. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. And most importantly, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Ka-ching!